This is 98.9 DYUP Sugbo, the official campus radio of the University of the Philippines, Cebu. DYUP Sugbo operates 3 hours and 30 minutes daily and is streamed online on DYUP Sugbo, our official Facebook page, and on DYUP Sugbo, UP Cebu's YouTube channel. Our radio booth is located in the radio room of the College of Communication, Art and Science Undergraduate Building at the University of the Philippines, Cebu, Burordo Avenue, Lahog, Cebu City. DYUP Sugbo is operated and maintained under the management of Gwyneth Antina, Station Manager, along with Gabriel Emmanuel Sulamo, Assistant Internal Station Manager, and Rain Isabel Filizarta, Assistant External Station Manager. DYUP Sugbo is technically managed by its technical committee under the supervision of Caleb Josh Berandoy and Yada Marie Lambuhon, the technical heads. DYUP Sugbo's programs are produced and curated by the programming committee under the supervision of Franz Pauline Aberilla and Jared Owen Eagle, the programming heads. DYUP Sugbo's official Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, YouTube, and Spotify accounts are run by the publicity committee under Steffi Erika Gakit and Steven Cuevas, the publicity heads. DYUP Sugbo's records and documents are managed by Ritricia Llagas, Secretary. DYUP Sugbo's Executive Committee, Technical Committee, Programming Committee, and Publicity Committee are under the supervision of Sir Maurice Chete Villaester, DYUP's advisor. DYUP Sugbo 98.9, Kauban Nimo, is now signing on.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Hayang magiliw, kaya sa sinanalan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay. Upang hinirang, kuya ka ng magiting, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisingil, sa nagataputok sa simoy at sa langit ang pangaw, ay hinatang tulakaw.
you hear the beat blasted out. Tune in here for a great surprise. Ride the airwaves and come realize.
There's a lot to learn and much to see. Come be updated here in UPC. Turn your radio on and find your way. DYUPC to save the day.
DYUP Kauban mo. You will never be alone. Bringing you the hottest, latest in the zone. DYUP Kauban mo. DYUP Kauban mo. You will never be alone. Bringing you the hottest, latest in the zone. DYUP Kauban mo.
If the world tell me don't give up, raise your voice, find and do not stop.
Yes, we hear you, you are not alone. Radio's not dead, yes, we are on.
DYUP Kauban mo.
Bisan asa man kamo ato, music o balita nga ba?
Adi akini para sa imo, maski ikaw lang usa.
Daghan o bisag asa.
DYUP di kamyaan, andam kang pagsilbihan.
There's a lot to learn and much to see. Come be updated here in UPC. Turn your radio on and find your way. DYUPC to save the day.
DYUP Kauban mo. You will never be alone. Bringing you the hottest, latest in the zone. DYUP Kauban mo. DYUP Kauban mo. You will never be alone. Bringing you the hottest, latest in the zone. DYUP Kauban mo.
Kauban mo.
Kauban mo. Kauban mo. DYUP Kauban mo.
Live on air from the University of the Philippines Cebu Radio Booth in service of the people. This is 98.9 DYUP Sugbo, Kauban mo.
Maayong adlaw UP Cebu. I am Mike Navales.
And I am Caleb Josh Birandoy.
You're listening to
Say Ayo UP Cebu, the beat of campus, the pulse of news.
For the headlines.
Cebu City ex-mayor to reappear at House hearing.
20 people killed due to Ferdi, Hiner, and Habagat.
Director J.L. Burgos makes an appearance at Portraits of Mosquito Press in UP Cebu.
Philippines chess team defeated by Armenia in Olympiad.
And lastly, Charlie Puth marries non-showbiz girlfriend.
Today is Thursday, September 19, 2024. Time check, 10:35 in the morning. Maayong buntag mga iskolar ng bayan and to our fellow listeners both online and on demand.
Alright, good morning UP Cebu. It's good to be back, no? And today, Mike, officially marks the start of the martial law commemoration of UP Cebu.
Sakto, Caleb. As we navigate mga iskolar through our day today, we enjoin everyone to attend activities prepared by the 1081 exhibit.
Yes, tinuod, and let us be sensitive and mindful of the gravity of today's significance. So, muna no, we encourage you good to attend para ma-aware ta and makabaw ta nganong dili gini nato dapat kalimtan o dapat gini nato i-remember ang martial law.
Sakto gid, Caleb. And now for our top stories. Cebu City ex-mayor to appear at House hearing. Ex-Cebu City Mayor Tomas Menya has received an invitation to attend the House of Representatives hearing on September 19 as part of the ongoing investigation into illegal Philippine offshore gaming operators or POGOs and extrajudicial killings or EGKs. The House's Dangerous Drugs Committee led by Surigao del Norte Representative Robert Barbers sent a letter to Osmeña on the 16th of September. Osmeña's testimony is expected to shed light on illegal POGO activities and EGKs linked to former President Rodrigo Duterte's administration. He has so far declined to share his comments on the POGO and EGKs publicly, leaving speculation about what insights or information he might provide at the hearing.
Now for our national news, 20 people killed due to Ferdi, Hiner, and Habagat. The National Disaster Risk Reduction Management Center, or NDRRMC, reported on Wednesday, September 18, that they recorded a total of 20 casualties due to the harsh weather brought upon by the tropical cyclones Ferdi and Hiner, as well as the southeast monsoon, or Habagat. Of the 20 total deaths, 9 are from the Mimaropa region, 8 in Western Visayas and Bangsamoro Autonomous Region of Muslim Mindanao, 2 in Zamboanga Peninsula, and another from Central Visayas. The NDRRMC also reported a total of 14 people missing and 11 injured. Over the past week, Ferdi and Hiner, together with the hanging Habagat, have been causing heavy rainfall and strong winds in several regions in the country.
For our UP Cebu news, Director J.L. Burgos makes an appearance at Portraits of a Mosquito Press in UP Cebu.
In line with the upcoming commemoration of Martial Law Day, UP Cebu hosted a special screening of the award-winning documentary Portraits of Mosquito Press by director J.L. Burgos on Monday, September 16. The screening, held at Lawak Sinihan, is part of the campus's broader initiative to remember the struggles for press freedom during the martial law era ahead of its pre-1081 exhibit. Portraits of Mosquito Press chronicles the resistance of independent journalists who fought against government censorship during the dictatorship of Ferdinand Marcos Sr. Director J.L. Burgos shared personal reflections before the screening, referencing his brother Jonas Burgos, who was forcibly disappeared by state forces in 2007. In addition to the screening, Burgos teased his upcoming film, Alipato at Muog, a prequel to Portraits of Mosquito Press, promising future screenings. And this event is also part of UP Cebu's effort to highlight the ongoing importance of protecting press freedom in the face of current challenges.
Don't leave our broadcast as we will talk about the 1081 exhibit featuring a special guest. Stay tuned.
Do you have a brilliant idea to make a positive impact? Tulad ng automated audio learning platform o digital museum, o kaya isang academic collaboration app? Calling innovators, entrepreneurs, and inventors na may passion for driving positive change. Red Bull Basement is back for 2024. 40 teams, thousands of ideas, and one world final sa Tokyo, Japan. Enter your idea to develop your business plan accelerated by AI technology. For a chance to get advice and input on your development from experts along the way.
An idea that starts in your dorm room can help millions of people. You really do have the power to change the world.
The world is waiting for people like us.
Nung nasa tiyan mo pa po ako, lagi na tayong nagpapatimbang sa health center. Dapat may dagdag tayo na halos 1 kilo kada buwan. Senyalis ito na tama ang nutrition mo. Mga nanay, dapat tama po ang timbang nyo.
And now we're back. You are still listening to Sai Ayo UP Cebu. Maayong buntag mga eskolar ng bayan!
Alright, now we are here with our special guest, no? Welcome, Ms. Erna Bonsukan, the Vice Chair for External Affairs at ComUp and the panel discussion head for 1081. So thank you very much for joining us here today in Sai Ayo.
Okay, Miss Erna, for the benefit of our listeners, mga eskolars ng bayan, what is the 1081 exhibit, and please shed light as to why martial law should still be remembered and resisted.
Okay, so again, maayong buntag to our listeners out there and sa atong DYUP pod na mga host dire. So, 1081 exhibit is actually an annual commemoration to the martial law victims katong under ni Ferdinand Marcos Sr. So, it is an annual reminder of the dark times again under the martial law, no? So, now on its 7th year, so our theme for this year is Tagubtob. Remember, reveal, resist. So, muna siya, our aim this year is to remember the period of those dark times and to honor those who suffered and to guard against future abuses of power. So, right now na may mga gilatag na activities for like 4 days and ongoing opening program karon sa admin building sa UP Cebu, and after the opening program mag-launch ta sa atong multimedia exhibit and naabot tay radio talk lunchtime, and on the afternoon we will have our panel discussion. So mao na siya ang 1081 exhibit.
Yes, so sa kaning panel discussion, what are the mga eskolar ng bayan, no? What are they to expect to happen in the panel discussion to happen later on at the Performing Arts Hall? Kinsa may mga speakers?
Okay, so the panel discussion is actually one of the highlights po sa 1081 exhibit this year kay it features mga speakers from our different sectors. So we have a representative from the students, so nata from 1081 nga core committee, si Jade mismo ang mo representative, and for the academe or like the faculty, we have Sir Dominic Yasay sa SICAD faculty, and napod tayo representative from the UP Cebu's University Student Council, Sir Grover Perez, and also from the Stop the Attacks Movement for Peace, Central Visayas Chapter, we have Judge Kit Enriquez, and lastly for the youth sector, naapunta from Kabataan Party List Cebu, si Ms. Carmel Angela Mata, the Vice Chairperson of Kabataan Party List Cebu. So kanina siya, mga 5 ka-speakers, they will share their personal stories, insights, struggles, no, highlighting why understanding martial law is important or vital ganit to protecting our democracy today and to prevent historical revisionisms, and of course other schools outside, not only from Cebu lang, no, or not, I mean from UP Cebu, naapod tayo mga schools outside like from CNU, CTU, USGR, San Carlos, and more, and napoy mga media partners. So gi-encourage na ko ang tanan nga mo-attend sa panel discussion kay daghan jud tag makatunan ani later. So 1:30 later sa Performing Arts Hall. So,
ubay-ubay gyud atong mga guests ko na substantial kay ang discussion later.
Yes,
so
sakto.
by that being said, mga eskolar ng bayan, join us in remembering, revealing, and resisting. So don't miss out the panel discussion at 1:30 p.m. this afternoon.
Alright, thank you very much, Miss Erna, for joining us here today once again.
Thank you so much, Miss Erna.
Now for our latest updates in sports, Philippines chess team defeated by Armenia in Olympiad. Here is Sheena Gira for the report.
The 45th International Chess Federation Chess Olympiad was held at the Sports Hall in Budapest, Hungary. The Grandmaster Julio Catalino Zadora, a coach at the University of Texas in Dallas, achieved a second straight victory. However, Grandmaster Stenel Quezon lost to a Grandmaster Sean Sargassian, while John Paul Gomez lost to another Grandmaster player, which led to a loss to Armenia. Master Paulo Brismina also failed to turn a pawn advantage into victory. After their 6 rounds, it turned into a defeat on Monday. The Philippines dropped to 28th place from 7th place. Sheena Guerra, DYUP Sugbo, Kauban nimo.
For the latest chicas in the world of entertainment, Charlie Puth marries non-showbiz girlfriend. We have Ann Cash on the report.
His recent post, the pop sensation uploaded snaps and reels of his intimate wedding, with Sansone expressing his deep love for the bride, stating that he has always loved her and feels his best with her by his side. Their relationship was made public in 2022, although the singer said that they have known each other since childhood and got engaged in September 2023. Notable figures from the music and entertainment industries took to their platforms to congratulate the newlyweds, with many expressing their excitement for the couple's future. Jeannie Kalukyas, DYUP Sugbo, Kauban mo.
For the recap,
Cebu City ex-mayor to appear at House hearing.
20 people killed due to Fedi Heneran Habagat.
Director J.L. Burgos made an appearance at Portraits of a Mosquito Press in UP Cebu.
Philippines chess team defeated by Armenia in Olympiad.
Charlie Puth married non-showbiz girlfriend. Alright, so those were the top stories for today's broadcast.
Yes na yes. So, mga scholar ng bayan, in commemoration of martial law and to stand with the victims of the oppressive regime, let us have a moment of silence.
Alright, Mike. So, munta siya na ang latest stories for today. And once again, mga scholar ng bayan, so today marks the start of UP Cebu's commemoration for the martial law, which is the 1081 exhibit. So, how about you, Mike? Will you be joining or participating in the 1081 exhibit?
Yes, kuya. So, unfortunately, I missed a chance to watch the showing of the upstage performance today, pero naa sila performance this September 25 p.m. onwards at the amphitheater Sunset Garden. So ako nang adtuan para makatanaw ko kay nice kay ilang trailer nga i-post sa act up ng stage ng page sa Facebook page, like grabe jud kayo the art and the creativity of the scholars ng bayan are really commendable.
Yes,
and also the way they story tell, amazing jud kayo.
Sa ilang pag-express sa rug struggles good sa mga victims sa martial law atong era ni Ferdinand Marcos Sr. So, muna siya it's very important to participate in these events kay para makabaw pud ta kung anong important pang gyud ang pag-commemorate anang martial law pag-remember sa victims. So, how about you, Mike? Unsa man imong mga personal takeaways sa ganiha sad sa itong pag-interview ni Erna?
Kuan, as a freshman kuya kanang feel ako nga dapat siguro ko nga mo engage jud sa mga inani kay murag UP Cebu is a great avenue for me to be aware of this kind of issues, since it really highlights the embodiment of being an scholar ng bayan who holds responsible for these kind of issues to not be repeated, because if we forget, or it is a must for every scholar ng bayan to remember these kind of issues para ma-amplify nga dapat dili na ni mabalik, or kanang para dili na gani magbalik.
Yes.
You get my point, kuya?
Yes. And also, as Erna mentioned, forgetting those events, those atrocities, numerous human rights violations, gives way to historical revisionism. So, murag kuan na noon nga okay ra to siya or kalimtan na to kay manaman to sa una raman to. But no, we must never forget para dili na to mausab as what you said.
Yes.
All right. So once again, no, thank you very much for listening to Sai Ayo UP Cebu.
This has been Mike Navales
and Caleb Josh Berandoy.
The Beat of Campus, the Pulse of News.
You've been listening to 98.9 DYUP Sugbo, Kauban nimo.
Do you have a brilliant idea to make a positive impact? Tulad ng automated audio learning platform o digital museum, o kaya isang academic collaboration app? Calling innovators, entrepreneurs, and inventors na may passion for driving positive change. Red Bull Basement is back for 2024. 40 teams, thousands of ideas, and one world final sa Tokyo, Japan. Enter your idea to develop your business plan accelerated by AI technology for a chance to get advice and input on your development from experts along the way.
An idea that starts in your dorm room can help millions of people. You really do have the power to change the world.
The world is waiting for people like us.
Trigger warning. The following reading contains violent content which may be too intense for some listeners. Listener discretion is advised. Tagubtob sa kamatuoran. Remember, reveal, resist. Ato ang pagapaminahon ang mga sugilanon sa mga biktima na miharap sa mga adlaw sa kahadlok ug pangdaog-daog sa martial law. Ang ilang mga kasinatian nagpadayag sa tinuod nga nahitabo ug pinaagi sa paghandom sa ilang mga sakripisyo. Dili lang nato atubangon ang brutal nga mga kamatuoran sa atong kasaysayan, kundili gipamatud-an usab nato ang atong pasalig nga lig-ong mobarog batok sa bisan unsang matang sa pagpanglupig. Karon, paminahon kanato ang istorya ug kaagi ni Dr. Russell B. Muhares.
Russell B. Muhares was a journalist from Cebu who one day found himself swept into the turbulence of martial law. This was a time when dissent was dangerous, especially for those who wrote about the truth, as truth was often buried with those who dared to share it. It was during the early days of when President Marcos declared martial law that Muhares was invited by military intelligence agents to Camp Serio Osmeña, a euphemism that masks the harsh reality he was to face. His crime? Writing columns in the Freeman that were critical of the government. Muhares was also associated with militant student groups like Kabataang Makabayan and Samahang Demokratikong Kabataan. In the eyes of the regime, he was a voice that needed to be silenced. But Muhares' experience was unlike the harsher stories that echoed across the country. Cebu was in a hotbed of rebellion, so his captivity felt strangely different. He wasn't thrown into a dark, cramped cell. Instead, he and other political detainees were housed in soldiers' barracks. They could have visitors, eat better meals brought by their families, and even, on rare occasions, get day passes to leave the camp under guard. It was a surreal existence where freedom and confinement seemed to blend together. After just 2.5 months, Muhares was released, lucky by many standards. Still, this isn't to say that he is now completely free. Even after his release, he was kept on a tight leash, with limits on where he could go and what he could say. Dr. Muhares, an esteemed national artist of the Philippines for literature, shares a profound insight about martial law. He sees it as a means for isolating citizens through the elimination of press freedom, effectively spreading fear. He observed that despite prior conversations about martial law, the lack of precedents left people unprepared for its sudden implementation. During its dark days, the repression of press freedom intensified isolation and fear. However, Mojares feels that print journalism, despite its slower pace and limited reach when compared to electronic media, may combat the sense of isolation created by martial law through promoting discussion, reflection, and depth while cultivating. However, Mojares feels that print journalism, despite its slower pace, and limited reach when compared to electronic media, may combat the sense of isolation created by martial law through promoting discussion, reflection, and depth while cultivating a sense of community. However, Mojares feels that print journalism, despite its slower pace and limited reach when compared to electronic media, may combat the sense of isolation created by martial law through promoting discussion, reflection, and depth while cultivating a sense of community and informed discourse. Print journalism builds deep relationships with an established community of readers that are critical in maintaining communication and solidarity among individuals during repressive regimes.
Sa atong paghandom sa martial law, kining mga istorya sa mga biktima ang atong pagabitbiton. Nga magpahinumdum kanato sa mga adlaw sa kadulom ug pagpakigbisog. Ang ilang mga istorya nga kaniadto gipahilom karon nagbarog isip usa ka gamhanan nga tawag sa paghinumdum sa nangagi, pagpadayag sa mga tinago nga kamatuoran ug pagsukol sa mga puwersa nga naghulga sa atong kagawasan. Ang ilang mga tingog bisan pa sa pagkahugno magpabilin nga usa ka masilay nga syagit sa paglaom ug kaisog. Ipakita nato ang mga istorya aron mapukaw ang atong pagpanaw sa kagawasan ug mga katungod.
Kay taas na upanin sa aking panin.
Trigger warning. The following reading contains violent content which may be too intense for some listeners. Listener discretion is advised. Tagubtob sa kamatuoran. Remember, reveal, resist. Ato ang pagapaminawon ang mga sugilanon sa mga biktima nga miharap sa mga adlaw sa kahadlok ug pangdaog-daog sa martial law. Ang ilang mga kasinatian nagpadayag sa tinuod nga nahitabo ug pinaagi sa paghandom sa ilang mga sakripisyo. Dili lang nato atubangon ang brutal nga mga kamatuoran sa atong kasaysayan, kundili gipamatud-an usab nato ang atong pasalig nga lig-ong mubarog batok sa bisan unsang matang sa pagpanglupig. Karon, paminahon kanato ang istorya o kaagi nila Father Rudy Romano ug Levi Ibanez.
On July 11, 1985, Cebu City was draped in an oppressive shroud of fear and darkness as two courageous lives were violently wrenched from existence. They go to the priest. They go to the church. They come to me. I am their voice. I am fighting on their behalf. Don't worry, Dad. If I die, I have no family, and you will know who has killed me. These were the words of Father Rosaleo Rudy Romano that resonated with the weight of his commitment to the oppressed, a commitment that cost him everything. Father Rosaleo Rudy Romano was a Redemptorist priest deeply committed to the plight of the poor. He dedicated his life, together with his deep bond with the people, to advocating for human rights and speaking out against the abuses of the Marcos regime. Father Rudy's care and bravery made him a symbol of hope during the dark times of martial law. He organized rallies, mobilized communities, and used his voice in homilies to expose the injustices faced by many. Father Rudy was supposed to celebrate Mass at the Redemptorist Church. When he didn't arrive, a fellow knocked on his door, but there was no response. The superior then opened Father Rudy's room, only to find it empty and untouched. There was no note or clue about where he had gone, just an unsettling void where he should have been. On July 11, 1985, Father Rudy was abducted by armed men in one of the barangays in Cebu City. He was intercepted by military operatives. Witnesses described a scene of chaos and fear as he was forcibly taken, leaving behind a community that would never see him again. Despite extensive searches and ongoing efforts to uncover the truth, Father Rudy's fate remains a haunting mystery nearly 4 decades later. On the very same day, July 11, 1985, Roland Levi Ibanez, a young and passionate activist devoted to human rights, was snatched from Santiago Street in broad daylight. Levi, a member of the Coalition Against People's Persecution, or CAPP, was en route to the Professionals Forum office when he disappeared into the void. His fate entwined with that of Father Rudy Romano, who was also being abducted on that very day. Their fearless denunciation of human rights violations made him a target during a time when dissent was met with violence. Their disappearance serves as a reminder of the many lives lost to tyranny and oppression. After all these years, Father Rudy Romano's case remains unsolved, his fate a lingering shadow. His whereabouts are still unknown, and he was never seen again.
Sa atong paghandom sa martial law, kining mga istorya sa mga biktima ang atong pagabitbiton. Nga magpahinumdum kanato sa mga adlaw sa kadulom ug pagpakigbisog. Ang ilang mga istorya nga kaniadto gipahilom karon nagbarog isip usa ka gamhanan nga tawag sa paghinumdum sa nangagi, pagpadayag sa mga tinago nga kamatuoran ug pagsukol sa mga puwersa nga naghulga sa atong kagawasan. Ang ilang mga tingog bisan pa sa pagkahugno magpabilin nga usa ka masilay nga syagit sa paglaom ug kaisog. Ipakita nato ang mga istorya aron mapukaw ang atong pagpanaw sa kagawasan ug mga katungod.
Kay taas ng pader sa aking paligid.
Trigger warning. The following reading contains violent content which may be too intense for some listeners. Listener discretion is advised. Tagubtob sa kamatuoran. Remember, reveal, resist. Ato ang pagapaminawon ang mga sugilanon sa mga biktima nga miharap sa mga adlaw sa kahadlok ug pangdaog-daog sa martial law. Ang ilang mga kasinatian nagpadayag sa tinuod nga nahitabo ug pinaagi sa paghandom sa ilang mga sakripisyo. Dili lang nato atubangon ang brutal nga mga kamatuoran sa atong kasaysayan, kundili gipamatud-an usab nato ang atong pasalig nga lig-ong mubarog batok sa bisan unsang matang sa pagpanglupig. Karon, paminawon kanato ang istorya ug kaagi ni Francisco Bimbo Fernandez.
2 military trucks are on the way. Remembering what happened on September 23, 1972, these were the words of a sugar worker who woke Francisco Bimbo Fernandez up. He was then asleep, also recalling that the night before he had a meeting with some sugar workers to prepare for their confrontation with the farm manager, saying that they should be ready, especially with the warning that martial law was imminent. But what led to this moment? He was then 21 years old. After dropping out from a seminary, he headed for Bais, where he joined the local activist Concerted Action Group. With very few resources, they declared a citywide strike of sugar workers. Two memories remain vivid. One was when the goons shot at them, where a sugar worker on his left was killed and a volunteer on his right was hit in the head. The other event was when they declared a citywide protest and paralyzed the entire city, with market vendors and tricycle drivers fully supporting them. With their extensive and deep connections, they decided to organize a political party, Partido Cabus, or the Poor People's Party. But on election day, they could not withstand the goons of the hacienderos, and they lost. It was only more than 6 months later when they again attempted to reorganize Bais. Unfortunately, even before martial law was announced, 2 truckloads of soldiers came to arrest them. But they were not ready. He, together with his friends, did not know what to do. They scrambled and fled to the mountains. And on October 4th, he got arrested and detained with common criminals in the Negros Oriental Provincial Jail. He was detained for 6 months. He admitted that his story is different because unlike fathers Ben Alforque and Pix Picardal in Cebu, he was not tortured. He was mauled once, but most times he was treated well. The criminal prisoners and the prison guards have heard of what they have done for the sugar workers in Bais. Life in jail was fairly comfortable for him. He had many friends, played basketball every day, learned mahjong, and his food was even better than the meals with sugar workers, especially during the strike. But what was painful was the thought that their dream for a better life for the sugar workers may no longer be. And worst, this disgrace of their dignity and humanity was deceptively clothed with the claim that martial law was to create a new society that would eliminate poverty, hunger, corruption, and violence, and that martial law was a revolution of the poor. His experiences left him with 2 messages. One on how non-governmental organizations must influence the government, and 2, Marcos could not fool the people all the time. It took a long time and many had to sacrifice, some with their lives, but in the end, people woke up. Hopefully, the people will still wake up from this deja vu.
Sa atong paghandom sa martial law, kining mga istorya sa mga biktima ang atong pagabitbiton, nga magpahinumdum kanato sa mga adlaw sa kadulom ug pagpakigbisog. Ang ilang mga istorya nga kaniadto gipahilom karon nagbarog isip usa ka gamhanan nga tawag sa paghinumdum sa nangagi, pagpadayag sa mga tinago nga kamatuoran ug pagsukol sa mga puwersa nga naghulga sa atong kagawasan. Ang ilang mga tingog bisan pa sa pagkahugno magpabilin nga usa ka masilay nga syagit sa paglaom ug kaisog. Ipakita nato ang mga istorya aron mapukaw ang atong pagpanaw sa kagawasan ug mga katungod. Trigger warning. The following reading contains violent content which may be too intense for some listeners. Listener discretion is advised. Tagubtob sa kamatuoran. Remember, reveal, resist. Ato ang pagapaminahon ang mga sugilanon sa mga biktima nga miharap sa mga adlaw sa kahadlok ug pangdaog-daog sa martial law. Ang ilang mga kasinatian nagpadayag sa tinuod nga nahitabo ug pinaagi sa paghandom sa ilang mga sakripisyo. Dili lang nato atubangon ang brutal nga mga kamatuoran sa atong kasaysayan, kundili gipamatud-an usab nato ang atong pasalig nga lig-ong mubarog batok sa bisan unsang matang sa pagpanglupig. Karon, paminawon ka nato ang istorya o kaagi ni Lourdes Unabia Barcenas.
September 23, 1972 marked a turning point in her life when Ferdinand Marcos declared martial law. Her husband, Mokring, and her were in Cebu City, shocked by the sudden news. Shortly after returning home, PC soldiers arrived to arrest her husband. She insisted on accompanying them, and the ride to Cebu City felt endless. Along the way, she tried to inform Governor Osmundo Rama about Mokring's arrest, but he was not available. When she finally reached Camp Osmeña, she found Mokring detained with others, and from that moment, her life was consumed by fear and uncertainty. She juggled her duties as a teacher, caring for their 1-year-old daughter, Ligaya, and visiting Mokring every day for a brief 5 minutes under strict supervision. During that time, she was also pregnant and due to deliver soon. On October 29, 1972, she gave birth to their son, Bayani, and pleaded with the authorities to allow Mokring to visit her in the hospital. After much effort, he was granted a short visit under heavy guard. For weeks, she relentlessly pursued Mokring's release, navigating the labyrinth of military bureaucracy. Many times, she faced disappointment, like when she was denied access to visit him due to a security breach, or when officials dismissed her appeals, labeling her husband a communist. Despite these challenges, a breakthrough came on December 23, 1972, when she finally secured his release papers, signed by Defense Minister Juan Ponce Enrile, but needing a final signature from General Amor. With minutes to spare before the office closed for the holidays, she managed to get General Amor's signature, and Mokring was released just in time to spend Christmas with them. Though his freedom was conditional, it was a moment of profound relief and joy. Her husband, a staunch critic of the Marcos regime and a defender of human rights, returned home, but the months of detention left an indelible mark on them. The experience tested their resilience, and the memory of that period remains etched in their heart as a reminder of the strength they found amidst adversity.
Sa atong paghandom sa martial law, kining mga istorya sa mga biktima ang atong pagabitbiton. Nga magpahinumdum ka nato sa mga adlaw sa kadulong ug pagpakigbisog. Ang ilang mga istorya nga kaniadto gipahilom karon nagbarog isip usa ka gamhanan nga tawag sa paghinumdum sa nangagi, pagpadayag sa mga tinago nga kamatuoran ug pagsukol sa mga puwersa nga naghulga sa atong kagawasan. Ang ilang mga tingog bisan pa sa pagkahugno magpabilin nga usa ka masilay nga syagit sa paglaom ug kaisog. Ipakita nato ang mga istorya aron mapukaw ang atong pagpanaw sa kagawasan ug mga katungod.
Kay taas ng pader sa aking paligid.
Trigger warning. The following reading contains violent content which may be too intense for some listeners. Listener discretion is advised. Tagubtob sa kamatuoran. Remember, reveal, resist. Ato ang pagapaminawon ang mga sugilanon sa mga biktima nga miharap sa mga adlaw sa kahadlok ug pangdaog-daog sa martial law. Ang ilang mga kasinatian nagpadayag sa tinuod nga nahitabo ug pinaagi sa paghandom sa ilang mga sakripisyo. Dili lang nato atubangon ang brutal nga mga kamatuoran sa atong kasaysayan, kundili gipamatud-an usab nato ang atong pasalig nga lig-ong mubarog batok sa bisan unsang matang sa pagpanglupig. Karon, paminawon ka nato ang istorya ug kaagi ni Maria Reca Escudero Ruedas.
Her real name was Maria Reca Escorido Ruedas. She was the eldest daughter of 8 children of a provincial government official and a public elementary school teacher. She witnessed the intense militarization of her native province and the atrocities committed by state forces. While pursuing the urban poor organized their protest actions, she had deepened her commitment to work for social change. She was 18 when the house she was staying in Pardo, Cebu was raided by operatives of the Philippine Constabulary Integrated National Police, or PCINP. It was late at night on May 21, 1980, and the occupants who were arrested, 9 in all, were members of the Provincial Youth and Students and Bureau of the Communist Party of the Philippines. An arrest, search, and seizure order had been issued against them for allegedly violating the Republic Act 1700, or the Anti-Subversion Law. When the group was brought to Camp Lapu-Lapu in Lahog, Cebu City, she realized that it was not just the 9 of them, as she saw 12 others in the office. The interrogation was harsh and took several days. They were deprived of sleep, verbally abused, and threatened with rape and torture. When they were detained, women detainees were specifically targeted for harassment. Whenever they bathed, the prison guards would peep through holes, doing it not very discreetly. When they were informed that Pope John Paul II would visit Cebu and celebrate a mass at the Camp Lapu-Lapu Chapel, they planned to get the attention of the Pope and would launch a hunger strike where they only had water, salt, and biscuits. However, the military had locked them up in their cell and covered the barred windows with tarpaulin. Thus, the detainees held a prolonged noise barrage instead. The detainees continued their hunger strike even after the papal visit, which lasted 25 days. This protest bore fruit 3 months later as Marcos ordered the release of the 17 remaining detainees, including Reca, showing the power of movement, especially in the brutal times of the Marcos regime.
Live on air from the University of the Philippines Cebu radio booth. Para sa pag-alagad sa katauhan, kini ang 98.9 DYUP Sugbo, Kauban nimo. Maayong buntag mga eskolar ng bayan, Sugbo anon ug sa tanang tigpaminaw. Adlawng Lunes karong 19 sa Setyembre 2024, magkuyog na sa Adlawng Huwebes karong 19 sa Setyembre 2024, magkuyog na sa karong buntaga sa atong bag-ong tulumanon.
labi sa katawhan.
Kita kauban sa masa para sa masa. Kini si kaubang siya, kauban ninyo sa pakighimamat sa laing-laing representante sa mga organisasyon, unyon ug uban pang sektor sa katilingban.
Ug kini si kaubanghan ang inyong makuyog karong semestre sa pagbalik sa kauban sa masa dinhi sa DYUP Sugbo. Sa pag-ere makausab sa atong programa, madungog nato ang nagkadaiyang kampanya sa matag sektor. Ug karong adlaw, mao kini ang uluhan sa atong mga balita.
(1081) Ania si Anka siya sa report.
Gisugdan karon ang pagpahigayon sa 1081 exhibit na nagsilbi og timaan sa usa ka ngit-ngit na panahon agi sa kaniadtong pagdeklara sa martial law. Ang tema nga tagubtub sa kamatuoran, remember, reveal, resist, nagpahinumdum kanato sa libo-libong mga biktima sa pagpanlapas sa tawhanong katungod ubos sa diktadorya ni Ferdinand Marcos Sr. Ang kining upat ka adlaw sa pagpanghandom adunay programa na gisugdan kanina sa tunghaan samtang ang mga art exhibit kay
Duha ka aktivist
sa Cebu Museum of Culture and Arts. Aduna sabtay mga diskusyon, salida o basic mass exposure para sa pagpahibaw sa tanan kung unsa ang mga kaagian sa mga tao ni adtong martial law hangtod karon sa kasamtangang kahimtang. Matod pa sa chairperson sa communicators of UP nga si Jade Himalaluan, ang kusog nga tingog o kusog nga tagubtob sa kagahapon kinahanglan natong hinumduman o pasidunggan. Giawhag sab sa organisasyon ang tanan na motambong ani kalihukan kay kini magsilbi na pahimangno para dili makalimtan o dili mausab ang kasakit na nasinati sa atong nasod ubos sa rehimeng Marcos. Kini si Anka siya, DYUP Sugbo, kauban nimo.
Duha ka aktivista nga nakabase sa Bicol ang gidagit kaniadtong Agosto. Sila ang ika-14 ug ika-15 nga biktima sa enforced disappearance ubos sa rehimeng Marcos Jr. Aniya si Athena Kidlat sa report.
Gidagit ang duha ka aktivistang gipangalang James Hasmines ug Felix Salaveria ni adtong Agosto 23 ug 28. Si Hasmines, 63 anyos, usa ka cultural ug labor advocate nga gidagit pagpadung niya sakay sa iyang bisikleta. Samtang si Salaveria, 66 anyos, kay organisador nga nagdepensa sa katungod sa mga lumad nga gidagit pod pagkahuman sa pipila ka adlaw. Sa niaging mga semana nga nawala ang duha ka aktivista, ang lokal nga mga otoridad naglunsad og investigasyon apan walay mahinungdanong tubag hangtod karon. Ipasiugda sa Commission on Human Rights kon CHR ang panginahanglan alang sa mga istrikto nga pagpatuman sa anti-enforced disappearance law. Pero base sa mga inisyal nga report, nagpabiling nga walay epekto ang balaod aron mapugnan ni nga mga kaso sa abduksyon o miskin makatabang sa paglutaw sa mga desaparecidos. Adunay padayon nga panawagan gikan sa Salaveria nga ibalik sila. Giawhag sab nila ang katawhan nga moduol aron motabang sa pagpangita sa nawala nga mga individual. Kini si Athena Kidlat, DYUP Sugbo, kauban nimo.
Ug mao kato ang mga init na balita na dunay kalambigitan sa nagkadaiyang sektor.
Sa pagkakaron, atong paminawon ang ilang mga kisinatian ug kampanya pinaagi sa hingpit nga panaghisgutay kauban sa batakang masa.
Karong adlaw, atong madunggan ang kalihukan sa kabatan-unan panahon sa martial law. Pinaagi sa pagtuki sa kasaysayan sa first quarter storm, ila-ilahon nato ang Vice Chairperson sa UP Cebu University Student Council, Ayan Peter Guazon.
So maayong
buntag kaubang Ayan. Yes. So thank you kaayo no sa kanang pag-join namo karong buntaga unya kanang sa atong diskurso di ay karon kaya atong tabian ang martial law labi na ang unsa man jud di ay ang kanang mga kaagi sa ato ang mga martial law babies nya unsa ang mga panghitabo ni aging martial law to be exact nya makaisaysayan ba sa kanang sa kaagi sa nagkalain-laing sektor apil na ang sektor sa kabatan-unan nga grabe jud kaayo ang pangpahimulos pagdaog-daog sa Marcos na rehimen sa niagi nga kanang sa niagi na panahon. So kana ganahan lang una sa mi nga kanang mapalaw man o kanang gikan ay sa ato sa mga viewers o sa ato ang listeners nga unta ato silang ma-sharean og insights kung unsa man jud ang martial law, unsa man jud ang mga panghitabo sa martial law.
Maayong buntag sa tanan no, maayong adlaw kaubang
siya, mayong adlaw pod kaubanghan. Sa pagpaila di ay sa usab ako di si Ian Peter Guanzon ang kasamtangan niya Vice Chairperson sa UP Cebu University Student Council ug karon excited pod ko nga maka-istorya sa inyo nga kabahin sa unsa ang nahitabo during sa first quarter storm. Kay kining first quarter storm mao ni siya ang panahon nga grabe ang nagahait jud ang pakigbisog sa mga kabatan-unan ug uban pa nga mga sektor sa atong katilingban sa panahon sa diktadoryang Marcos no. So kana excited pud ko kung unsa ato pwedeng tukion karong kabuntagon.
Oh, salamat kaayo sa kanang introduction kung unsa jud ang martial law og kanang subay sad ni ana no kay kanang di ba kahibaw man tatanan kung pila ka buok ang nangamatay, pila ka buok ang magipang torture regarding sa martial law. Di ba kaubang han kanang sa ato asang makita sa news or like sa
daghan
mga
yun kaayo og mga na-documented ato nga mga human rights violations and abuses during that time.
Nga hantod karon ato yung ginakuha or like ginaingon ang kanang pagkuha sa hustisya ba like ato jud siyang kanang gina-implement jud o gina-push through kay tuo dapat sabiya sila nga kanang magbayad sa ilahang mga kanang gipang buhat. So kana nun siguro na ama sa tay mga kalihukan nga kanang ginabuhat regarding ana. So ganahan sa unta ta mapalawman kung unsa ang nagtukmod sa kabatan-unan nga mag-organisa. Pwede ba milay kanang mohatag og insights regarding that kaubang ayan?
Sige, so una siguro no sugdan sa nato unsa di ang kahimtang sa martial law kaniadto no? So sa panahon sa diktadorya ni Marcos di-decide siya ingon siya sa iyang mga papel sa mga ibang pagawas niya nga mga news nga ang panahon kaniadto kay nagagrabe daw ang kanang communist insurgency ugali dili lang sa left nga kanang insurgencies but also sa mga right pod kuno nga mga ginatawag nato nga conspiracies ugali do na pud siya kabalaka kaniadto sa panahon nga mag-aklas kuno ang mga Muslim secession ing religious secession ugali tungod ani naka-decide siya nga ipabatas niya ang Presidential Proclamation 1081 mao ni ang usa ka proclamation nga gapa legitimize sa martial law kaniadto ugali sa pagduso sa martial law tukod sa martial law dito dayon nato nakita nga kato nga mga panahon kay ginakontrol na sa usa ka leader sa gobyerno ang ato ang nasod ugali gigamit niya ang pwersa sa estado ang mga pwersa sa mga militar yang ana ang ginatawag kaniadto og Philippine Constabulary so mao na siya nga kaniadto nga panahon nakita pud nato nga ang mga nagadaiyang nga mga sektor kay ginaatake for example ang kanang mga workers ug mga peasant sector nato kay gipang torture gina-abduct especially kung mag-organisa sila ugali makita pud nato nga dili lang ang mga grassroots communities no but also ang mga kauban nato nga mga middle class ug mga naa sa mga akademya so sila nga mga saysay sa kung unsa ang nahitabo atlo kay gina-label sila as subversive nga moto kanang tungod ana ilang gipang dakop ilang gipang patay ilang gipang torture gali naay mga daghan yung mga na forced disappeared o ginatawag nato nga desaparecidos ug dili pod nagpaulahi ang pwersa sa kabatan-unan no ang youth sector kay mao man ni ang kanang pinakadako nga pwersa sa una nga nanguna jud sa pagbatok sa diktadorya ni Marcos ugali usa sa mga organisasyon kaniadto mao ang Kabataang Makabayan usa siya ka nationalist o kanang revolutionaryo nga grupo gyud nga nagduso jud sa tinuoray nga demokratikong katungod nato so kana ang tungod ani nga mga issue kay na force jud ang mga katawhan ug mga kabatan-unan nga mo fight against the dictatorship
so sakto jud do like kaubanghan makita jud nato kung grabe jud kaayo ang gina-exert nga effort sa ato ang sa batakang masa para lang jud tutulan ang kaning gina-implement na martial law kay tuod dili ra siya kanang oppression or like kanang pang torture sa ato ang mga sa ato ang mga like farmers, sa mga estudyante,
Oo,
o
daghan
uban
jud
pa.
kaayo siya kanang sectors nga naapektuhan ato. It's a multi-sectoral issue gyud nga dili lang ang kabatanunan, ang mga peasants, ang ato ang labor class ang naapektuhan adto nga panahon.
Tuod og karon sa dumakita man sa jud nato ang after effects sa martial law nga kanang up until now grabe jud kaayo ang pag-ask og kanang justice regarding sa victims og siguro sa jud no nga kanang karon nga ang naglingkod pa jud kay ang iyaha pa jung anak nga kanang ginakuha jud nila ang kanang informations nga dapat jud nato kanang like i-reveal sa kanang public kay kana biya like more biya mo go against sa ilahang mga personal interest nga lagi they kanang manage to kanang have the martial law because kanang that's what the country needs daw sa kanang nga time, pero in fact dili man jud kay tungod man jud siya sa personal interest na naglingkod, which is si Marcos Sr. Next pud ana kay ganahan sad unta mi mapalaw man kung unsa di ay ang ambag sa kabatanunan ug kaestudyantihan sa panahon sa first quarter storm, labi na karon nga sa mga scholar ng bayan nga ganahan sa jud nga kanang mo delve into sa martial law and bakig kanang participate sila sakto jud ka kaubang hano nga mo participate sila regarding sa pagbatok pud sa martial law up until now.
Sige, so sa pagsugod sad siguro no kay may baw-an natong ang first quarter storm mao ni siya ang pinakaunang kanang usa sa mga pinakadako nga kalihukan sa kabatanunan. Gali nahitabo na siya kani atong January hangtod sa March 1970. Ug kani nahitabo ni siya or nahimugso ni siya kay tungod sa dissatisfaction sa mga kabatanunan ug sa mga uban pa nga batakang sektor nga aduna jay kalisod sa panahon sa diktadoryang Marcos. Ug gali nakita pud nila ngadto ang threat jud sa dictatorship no. Ug nakita pud nila ang katong tulo ka ugat hinungdan mao imperialismo, feudalismo, bürokrata, kapitalismo. Kanin tulo kay lisod na siya lingkuran nato karon pero adunay educational discussion nga mahitabo sa kanang mga ganap-ganap para sa cookout. So mana pwede siguro nato mas matuki na siya later on. Pero ang kabatanunan no, ang ambag jud sa kabatanunan, especially gipangunahan siya sa kabataang makabayan sa una, mao ang pag-lead sa mga mass mobilization. Nag-una jud siya sa mga nagadaiyang nga mga mass mobilization. Dili lang sa usa ka parte sa nasod, dili lang sa Metro Manila, mismo diri sa Cebu. Naatay na dunggan nga Diliman commune, di ba? Or pagbarikada sa Diliman.
Yes.
Actually, diri sa Cebu, mas nauna ang commune or pagbarikada diri sa Cebu. Og dito siya nahimugso ngadto sa CIT. Og gali adunay usa ka sulat ni Carlo Miquel Mongaya nga ang resistance jud sa youth resistance against a dictatorship was very heightened during the martial law here in Cebu. Usa sa mga nanguna mao ang USJR ginatawag pa sa una og CSJR, ang UC, ang UP Cebu, gali ang kanang ato ang silingan nga eskwelahan ang USPF o sa usa sa mga issue nga ilang fight jud kay katong issue sa pagtaas sa tuition kanang
sakto jud.
Gali makita nato no nga ang issue sa una kay maura mangyapon
nga nagbalik-balik na lang yun siya.
Mao na nga kanang nakita gyud nato nga walay pag-usab kay bisan pag nawala ang diktador sa una karon another phase or another form ra gyapon of oppression. Makita nato nga okay nawala na si diktador si Marcos the dictator pero ang kinsa man ang naa sa kinatasan nga naa sa kagamahanan no. So kani sila makita nato nga ang mga elitista nga mga leaders, mga bureaucrat capitalist, ang mga Aquino, ang mga Duterte, ang mga ginatawag nato nga political dynasty. So mo na nga hantod dili jud ma-address ang ugat hinungdan sa atong katilingban nga gina-fight jud na siya since the first quarter storm pa lang. Kay maglisod jud ta og kanang move forward sa mga issues nato. Manang antod karon magbalik-balik gyud ang issues. Pero dili man sa kanang pag-down sa ato ang mga kaagalingon nga dili na lang ta mo batokan kay of course makita man nato nga naman tay mga kadaugan nga nadaog.
Tinuod
daghan pod.
Ang kanang sa pagduso sa free tuition.
Yes,
Kanang free
exactly.
tuition na nasa batas na siya kani adtong 2016 ni
President Duterte. Oo.
Pero dili man si Rodrigo Duterte ang nagpasa.
Yes.
Dili sa mismo ang Kongreso ang nagpasa. Gali ginabaka na siya sa panahon pa sa martial law nga dapat aduna joy usa ka libre, accessible o kanang quality nga education.
Sakto jud no kay kanang it's written biya sa atong constitution nga kanang every Filipino, even like the children kay they really have the right to kanang to have an education, the quality education. Pero
Yes.
karon ang nahitabo kay kanang daghan kaayon na hinuon nga mga private schools ang ilahanan ng attendant kay tuod limitado ra ang slots ug uban pa, especially karon nga daghan sa jud kay tanang ginabatukan nga budget cut. Like usa jud na sa rason nga no ang atong facilities kinaghuot na mag-post-post na dito sa Freedom Bowl. Wala na ko'y chairs ako grabe na jud kay tanan. Unya kung ato sa to sa kiosk kay daghan sad kaayo mag-standby like kana no usa na siya kanang kanang example kung unsa jud ka grabe ang corruption there is sa Pilipinas
Yes,
nga to the extent
exactly.
nga kanang ang mga after effects gali niya kay kita mismo mga estudyante ang batakang masa ang kanang apektado unya samtang sila dito kay pahayay-hayahay ra sa ilang mansion nagsigira siya travel and so on. So kana no kanang makita jud nato kung unsa jud kakusgan ang kanang kabatan-unan para iduso ang atong mga nagkaiya or like kanang ato ang mga human rights
Yes.
nya usad sad ana no regarding sad or like in line sad with youth movement kay unsa di ay ang uban pang paglihok sa sektor sa kabatan-unan niaging martial law unya karon unsa man pud ang pagpadayon sa atong paglihok. So kibali naabay gihapoy correlation ang mga paglihok before sa kalihukan nato karon.
Oo, sa dali nga pagtubag no. Yes, actually kanang makita nato nga adunay mga nagkadaiya nga mga forma sa paglihok no nga for example ang paghatag og mga educational discussion, pagpadayon or pagpa-strengthen sa ato ang mga kaalam kabahin sa mga nahitabo sa una o gali sa mga issue sa pagkakaron. Ug aside sa mga educational discussion kay aduna po'y mga nagkadaiya nga mga skits nga ginabuhat ang ato ang mga kabatan-unan gali adunay mga cultural activism for example kanong ganina naka-witness ta nga sa opening sa 1081 exhibit no nga naay drama acting ang upstage ug gana ilahang gi-relieve ang unsa day ang nahitabo pag martial law. Gali ang other pud nga mga forms ani pag pakat og mga polyeto, pagpilit og mga panawagan ug kana usa lang ni sa mga forma pero maabot pa jud kay tungod sa kalisod sa nga ginaatubang nila no makita pa gyud nato nga mga kabatan-unan kay maabot na sa punto nga kanang mas mo taas gali ilahang kamulatan nga kanang maabot na jud sa point nga mo salmot na sila sa armadong pakigbisog kay tungod man sa nagkalala nga krisis kani adto so ana sila nga dili jud nato ma-blame ang mga kabatan-unan ug uban pa nga mga sektor sa katilingban kung ano mo join sila sa armed struggle or gali sa New People's Army kay kana siya tinuuray man siya nga kanang ginapakigbisugan sa mga katawhan ug ka-estudyantehhan nya mao sa nang ilang ginasinati.
So mo na no nadungog nato kung unsa kadako ang role nga giplay sa mga kabatan-unan especially adtong first quarter storm and unsa ka tinuod gyapon nga to ang gaka experience hangtod karon no nga despite nga nahuman na ang balaod militar no padayon gyapon ang pag-exist aning mga effects ug mga resulta tungod aning declaration. So, salamat kaayo kaubang iyan no. Dira mahuman ang unang parte sa diskusyon. Mubalik ta pagkahuman sa atong mga pahibalo.
Sa pagratsada sa mini nga modernisasyon, asa man paingon ang atong mga driver nga labaw na nanginhanglan og panginabuhian ug atong mga kaisunang commuter nga nagsalig nila. Sa usa ka progresibong nasod, dili dapat makalimot og para asa o kang kinsa ang tinuoray nga paglambo. Padayon ta sa pag-awhag ug Padayon ta sa pag-awhag ug pagsalmot sa matinud-anon patas ug malambuon nga sistema sa transportasyon nga makatabang sa tanang Pilipino. Lakip na ang mga tradisyonal nga jeepney drivers ug small operators nga naghatag og barato ug abot kaya nga transportasyon sa pipila na katuig. Ayaw kalimot, ang laban ng tsuper ay laban ng commuter. Ayaw kalimot, sa hisgutanang teritoryo, rekurso ug pangista. Adunay dakong hulga ang yatubang ang nasod sa West Philippine Sea kung WPS. Ato ang mga kaubanang mangingisda kay napiit sa panagbangi sa mga imperialistang nasod susama sa China ug Estados Unidos. Mao kinahanglan nato mubarog ug makibisog. Magpakabana ug magdirabangay kita aron masiguro nga ang West Philippine Sea magpabilin nga usa ka bahin sa Pilipinas alang sa ato mga sumusunod nga henerasyon. Atin ang Pinas, US-China, layas. Kini usa ka pahinumdum gikan sa Kauban sa Masa. DYUP Sugbo, Kauban nimo.
Mao kadtong mga igsoon atong nadungog nato ang unang parte sa diskursyon, ang dakong parte sa kabatan-unan sa panahon sa martial law, hilabi na sa pag-organisa o pagmobilisa. Og kay gayud na takol sad ni kaubang aya no kung unsa jud kadako ang role sa kanang kabatan-unan sa martial law nga kanang even ang ato mga even ang ilang mga panawagan before kay nasinati gihapon nato karon in a different phase lang nya. Same ra gihapon siya nga kanang root cause problem. Og dili sad kay abig nagbalik-balik na lang jud ang problema kay wala sa jud mga kadaugan kay even di ka ng tuition nga kanang free na karon nga ato asang kanang na gets benefit to no kay kanang ato sa jud siyang nakuha nya kaubang kanang han kay ganahan lang sad ko baka hibaw or like unsa man imuhang insights regarding anang especially karon nga nag-eskwela ta sa kanang UP nya kanang gipay-eskwela gyud ta sa taksa katawhan nga grabe jud kay tanan ang kanang kadaugan nga before pa jud nila gina-push through nya karon lang jud finally kay ato na jud siyang nakuha.
So as you've mentioned kaubang siya no taxes ni sa kuan sa Masa pero ang dili man gud nato ma-realize sa uban nga kanang kinahanglan og someone nga mo push forward para ani nga mga causes para ani nga mga advokasya kinahanglan tag mga tawo no nga mo champion ani nga mga advokasya ug para ma-amplify ang kani nga mga kausa ug madala ni siya sa ato ang mga lideres dili lang sa national nga government but most especially sa atong grassroots level. So diha nato makita no on a macroscopic level gyud kung unsa ka effective ug unsa kadako ang contribute no ni ini nga dako nga quantity of people nga kabalo mo fight for these causes for these advocacies no kay makita nato kung unsa pud kadako gyud ang role sa kabatan-unan sa pag-push forward ani nga mga advokasya. Ug para ana no magpadayon ta sa ato ang discussion. So kaubang iyan, aduna ba'y mga pag-organisang nahitabo sa mga kabatan-unan sa lain-laing sektor ug sa eskwelahan, sa pabrika, sa komunidad, sa sakahan. So, kani nga mga sectors no ato ang gusto nato mabalaan if aduna ba'y mga pag-organisa nga nahitabo adto nga time.
Sige. Kung ato ang tukion ang kasamtangan nga paglantaw nato sa kanang current nga structure sa ato ang society no ang pinakalapad yun nga sektor mao ang sektor sa pesante o gali ang sektor mosundan din sa sektor sa mga mamumuo or ang labor sector. So ang kaning duha ka mga sektor mao ni sila ang pinakadako gyud kaayo og kanang role sa padayon sa ato ang country gali sila ang backbone jud sa atong country ang mga mag-uuma ug mga mamumuo ug gali kanang despite them being the backbone of our country grabe jud kaayo gihapon ang ginasinati nila sa una nga kung maabot sa punto nga mo oppose ang usa ka mag-uuma kay tungod sa kagamay sa sweldo nga sahod nga iya makuha niya grabe kay ang kanang ginatikad nga yuta dili siya kanang fair nga paghatag sa wage ba ugali same ra sad nga issue sad sa atong mga mamumuo of course mo reklamo gyud ta normal ra man sa ato as as mga katawhan yung mo reklamo gyud. Pero tungod kung mo reklamo ka, muhatag ka sa imong opinion ing ana, ang ginabuhat jud sa panahon sa diktadoryang Marcos kay diretso gyud nga i-dispose gyud ka, patyon ka, i-silence ka, dili ka hadlokon kay kana mahimo kang usa sa mga desaparecidos or mga tao nga gipang abdak wala na makit-i. Og tungod ani nga mga issue no nga mga kahimtang, ang mga kabatan-unan sa una kay nakig-unite jud ni forge jud og unity sa lower sectors ato ang society. So mao na nga aduna tay ginatawag nga paglubog sa masa, gali ginatuki sa mga kabatan-unan sa una nga kanang kinahanglan jud nga mo go jud ta sa mga communities kay dili man gud nato makita ang tinuoray nga pagkat-on dili man okay makatan man jud ta sa eskwelahan sa corner sa atong schools, pero unsa man ato makatunan ang mga teorya ning ana ug mga nagkadaiya nga mga ideas, pero ang kaning mga nagkadaiya nga mga ideas dili ni nato siya maay sa praktika if dili ta mo go out sa ato ang comfort zone, dili ta mo go out sa four corners of our classroom. So mao na nga kinahanglan jud ta mo lubog sa masa or ginatawag nato nga community immersion or exposure kay diri man nato tinuoray nga makita kung unsa day ang kahimtang nila. Ugali tungod kay nakita sa mga kabatan-unan ang kalisdanan sa mga katawhan, naabot jud sa punto nga kato akong ginaingon ganina nga ang mga kabatan-unan mosalmot sila sa armadong pakigbisog kay sila man mismo witness na sila sa mga pagpangatake. Ugali sila sad mismo kay kanang
ginaatake sa jud experience silang kalisod.
So dili jud ka question sa usa ka tawo nga ni abot og ing anak nga kaamguhan kay kanang grabe naman mas ikaw kuno at ikaw ha nagdala lang kag placard, nagdala lang kag streamer sa kadalanan unya kana kuan ka prisuhon ka or dili worse imong mga kauban pang patyon unsa man imong kusog, unsa man ang imong unsaon man imong pag defend imong kaugalingon. Of course maabot jud sa punto nga
mo resist
og armas pud mga kabatan-unan ug mobitbit pug arma ug magpalapad pud sa iyang mga pwersa. So mao na siya nga kana jud nga tinuoray jud nga issue sa una ang kanang pagdako sa numero sa mga komunista o gali kanang mga armadong grupo, pero kinsa man ang nagduso sa daani, di ba? Ang administrasyong Marcos naman tinuod man sila sa ato. So mao na nga wala ay choice ang mga katawhan tungod sa kalisod nga ilang gisinati. Mao na nga mosalmot sila sa armado.
Actually sakto gyud siya no kay more siya kanang ang notion nga kanang ug labayon kag bato kay mo labay kuno kag pan, which is very wrong man sad siya kanang if ato siya ibutang ana na context kay grabe na kayo ang pagpanghimulos, ang pag-torture, ang pag-oppress sa sakto jud ka kaubanghan, ang pag-abuso unya kanang ato sad siya ibutang sa context nga kanyari diplomacy or like mohatag ka og papel, pwede ra jud na nila nga dili basahon, pwede ra na nila ilabay. So unsa man ang purpose sa mga panawagan kung in the first place dili man gali siya ma-acknowledge. So kanang sakto sa jud nga kanang kasabot ta ngano ang mga kabatan-unan kay mo go jud sila sa ingon ana nga level kay kay dili man sad kita or like dili man sad sila ang nag-push through ana nga kanang behavior, but rather it is kanang the administration kanang themselves nga kanang nagpa-push through sa mga people nga mo go beyond ana nga kanang struggle, way of struggle. O kanang sumpay sad ni ana kay kaubang ayan ganahan nang usad mi mapalawman kung aside sad ana unsa pay pwede mabuhat nato karon para mababagan ang pamasismo sa estado kay karon biya kay daghan sad kay tanan ang mga gipangdakop nangawala, which is ato sa makita sa like ato sa mga news sa atong mga publications nga hala kani siya kay kanang she's known for fighting the kanang right for the basic masses, but then suddenly ginadakop, nawala, like wala na jud, dili na sila matrace. So kana very alarming kay siya in all sense kay kinsa pa may lain mohimo og kanang mga ingon ana nga butang nga usara man sa jud ang kontra sa tao, which is ang mga elite 1%, ang mga naglingkod na kung asa grabe kay sila pangpangurap grabe sad kaayo sila og kanang
power nila.
Grabe sad na jud sila kanang power to do such. So ganahan mi mapalawman kung unsa pa di ay what else kanang the students could do, or even not just the students but rather the basic masses, since imo man sad na mention nga kanang it is nice to really integrate with the basic masses, which is I myself kanang was able to do such, kay I was able to attend like basic mass integration nya. Makita sa jud nimo ang root cause sa kana nga problema. So kana ganahan mi mapalaw man kaubang ayan kung aside ana kay unsa pa ato ang mahatag or like unsa pa ato ang ma-serve.
Babagan ang pamasis mo.
Sige, sa una siguro no, sa pagkakaroon, dagan kitag pwede nga mabuhat. Kay kung makita nato sa una, ang kabatanunan sa una, kay dagan man silang nabuhat. So, what more karon nga mas free galit ta as compared sa una nga. Grabe jud, kanang blatant jud ang pagpangatake. Although karon na, amang gihapon ang pagpangatake. Pero at least, naatay, mas madusok na to ang ato ang right ba nga pwede ta mag-organize na pagkaman sa diktadoryang Marcos, pwede ta mo ilihok og mga kalihukan. So mas makita nato nga dako jud ang ato ang mga ways nga pwede nato malihok. Una siguro isip mga kabatan-unan, ang pinakauna gyud nato nga pwedeng buhaton is kita mismo andam ta, open ta mo abli sa ato ang pagpangutok nga mo tuki sa mga cancer o mga issue sa katilingban no. Mao jud na ang pinaka unang role importante nga buhaton nato nga mo recognize ta nga ang atong katilingban kay nay mga issue. Ugali sa pag-abot nato ana mo continue lang gihapon constant ang ato ang pag educate sa atong kaugalingon ug sa pag-abot nga aduna natay hamtong nga impormasyon, dili lang dapat kulong sa ato ang mga kaugalingon kung unsa atong mga nahibaw-an. Gali dapat aduna tay mga educational discussion, or kung dili man gali educational discussion, bisan pagstorya-storya lang sa imong fellow
Ito, like i-chika-chika lang good.
Diba? Kanang panalitan kung may issue karon, like moingon ang NEDA nga 64 pesos daw kuno kay okay na kanay kanang dili na daw ka pobre.
Questionable jud kay na siya.
Diba pagastoryaan na nato siya nya. Of course, after sa pagstorya-storya nato ana, dili lang dapat mahunong sa pag-educate, dili lang dapat mahunong nga conversation lang siya.
But rather na actions.
Actions nga buhaton no. Mao nang ginatawag nato nga sunod sa pag-arouse nato, pag-educate sa atong kagalingon ug sa uban, mag-organisa ta kay of course kita nga mga kabatan-unan, dagan man tag pwede mabuhat as an individual.
Sakto jud.
The question is what more if daghan ta.
Diba? Like
there is power in quantity.
As in, correct ka dyan. Kay awa kanang okay magdala kog placards mo anak ko climate action now ana okay manan-aw mga tao mga gi ana pero kung tan-awon pud nato daghan kung mas daghan ta kitang tanan nagtapok na mo magdala ta ana nga panawagan. Of course, lahi siya og implication. Kay makita nato nga mas kusgan jud, mas madungog siya. Ugali tungod sa mga pag-organisa, kay mas nakita nato nga daghan jud tag mga kadaugan nga nakuha. Una sa UP Sugbo lang ha. Naos nato ang usa ka dean before. Kay grabe jud ka ito iyang kanang mga oppressive nga policies sa una gali na natabo sa una kay magbayad pa sa kiosk. Kung magamit ka sa kiosk, mobayad ka. Di ba naman ay kuryente ang kiosk, payment na sad na. So of course, ang mga ka-estudyantehan sa una, gipangunahan sa nagkayusang kusog sa estudyante kay ginamobilize jud niya ang mga ka-estudyantehan niya. Muupos ka ani gali ilahang prop action ato kay kanang UP Cebu Beach Resort kay ano na ang kiosk na ibayad.
Cottage
cottage free.
So, mo na nga sa pag-organisa pod nato dili lang siya mahunong nga nagtapok-tapok ta dapat nasa mga kalihukan nga pwede nato mabuhat. So aside anang mga protest actions, mga demands, kay pwede man sad nato nga katwa kung giingon niya mo integrate ta sa mga different communities kay ang mga issue man gud sa ato ang mga estudyante dili siya hilayo sa issue sa dako nga katilingban.
Sakto jud.
For example no, ako kay kanang akong baon kay moingon ko nga 50 pesos ra nga 50 pesos ra man kay maore makaya sa akong parents. Na manong maore may makaya sa akong parents kay tungod dili kanang ang sweldo nga ginahatag sa ako ang pamilya nga mga mamumuo
dili pud enough.
Dili siya enough.
Yeah.
Kay nganong dili man enough Kaya of course na corruption nga na.
Yeah. So more siya domino effect.
Systemic issue gid siya.
Ita microcosm ra jud ta sa usa ka mas dako nga mga issue. Pero that doesn't mean nga wala tay kanang dili hilayo ang ato ang issue, like kanang we link our issues ra jud to each other. Na mao na para pod defeat nato ang kaning mga issues. The only way to do that is to link our arms with the different sectors of our society, no. Kinahanglan ta nga malink sa atong arms sa mga pesante, sa mga mag-uuma gipang patay, sa mga mamumuo nga gipang union bust, sa mga community nga sa mga urban poor community nga gipang walaan og mga katungod sa pamalay kay sa tawag kanang demolish ang mga panimalay gali uban pa nga mga butang-butang so mga nga importante jud nga dili lang ta mag-inusara nanganglan ang kolektibo nga aksyon.
Actually sakto sa jud siya no kay mura sa tiyag kanang sa ako sad as a BPO worker nga grabe sa jud kaayo ang among mga panawagan regarding sa salary increase ingnon ra ka nga kanang unya na lang kay even imong incentives kay dugay kay siya it's still kanang the same problem gali nga kanang ginasinati though different sectors but still the same problem so kana grabe sad kayo ilang pag kanang gaslight no nga kanang murag pakanon-kanon na kag pizza dira kay para lang jud di ka makayon niya nice tinuod grabe I thought meme ra gyud siya at first pero kanang when you see it like in a deeper gali na context you'll understand so kung maingon jud ninyo guys kay eat their pizza pero still create a union kay
hold them accountable gyapon.
Yeah, kay kanang actually lang kanang pizza di makuha ra jud na ninyo pila pa ka times if ever na lang jud mo sufficient gyud nga kanang salary nga makuha kanang every month gamay ra jud kay na siya tanan. Oo, sakto jud nya. Mausad na ang kanang mga masinati sad sa atong mga farmers, dili ra sad kay sa BPO industry but rather in the whole context nga sa kanang different sectors na gyud siya. Unya kana sad kanang isa na ka kanang instrumento kung dapat nganuman nga kanang ang kabatan-unan kay musalmot man ta og dapat man ta magpasalmot kay tuod when we graduate manarbaho ta asam sa tapadong workers ra gihapon ta guys that's why nga kanang kanang imo na siyang sugdan kanang imo na dapat i-deepen imong understanding nga kanang when you graduated, even in the prestigious universities or different universities, you'll still be going to have like the same path. If ever, dili jud ka mo resist and persist. Kay, unsa man imuhang padulngan, may naka imuhang kumpanya dayon, graduate nimo nga dili man. So, still under gihapon ta nila. Pero in a sense nga dapat, kay ang ato ang buhaton kay better na if not eliminated at least minimize kay still that's kadaugan man jud nga kanang gipangusgan sa kabatan-unan og sa different ka sectors og subay sad ni ana no kay unsa kaya imong mga perspectives sad ana kaubanghan
kuan sa atong mga nadungog no with all these issues nga nag-involve especially pod sa imuhang na bring up nga gikan sa imuhang trabaho sa na bring up pod ni kaubang iyan no nga multisectoral nga mga issues no ihapong na share ganina kung unsa man ang ato ang pwede mabuhat ani nga mga issue sa ato ang komunidad og with that no I think kinahanglan gid nato i-position atong kaugalingon og tan-awon nato taga barug ani nga mga issue sa tunga-tunga ani nga mga issue unsa may pwede mabuhat nato so ato alang i-recall no ang katong gi bring up ni kaubang iyan nga kinahanglan we should keep an open mind no and an open heart to acknowledge nga ay naay sayop sa ato ang komunidad naay something na dapat ayuhon ug naay something nga dapat i-address so with that no I think dili lang ta dapat magpundo pod anang open mind kinahanglan pod nato i-position atong kaugalingon sa unsa may angay mabuhat nako ani nga issue unsa may angay nako matabang pero that doesn't mean nga ako una to tanan no para ni siya sa mga estudyante it's a collective action gyud nga especially sa uban nga ako madungog nga kanang unsa pa may angay ilaban ani nga dili man sila gusto magpatabang so kinsa may gusto matabang ana dili gusto tabangan so ato anang i-erase ang mindset nga kita ang superhero cause in fact we're not dili ta ang superhero ani nga mga issues so kinahanglan nato mag-tap in sa mga strengths sa ato ang mga kaubanan, sa atong mga kauban nga mga estudyante usab dili lang sulod sa universidad but most especially sa ato ang mga kauban nga members sa nagkalain-lain nga mga sektor. So with that no, naana ang ato ang open mind, ato ang willingness to serve the people, to serve the masses. Along with that no, unsa pa may angay nato mabuhat, unsa man nga mga communities or unsa man nga mga groups and organizations nga pwede nato masudlan or ma-work in ana.
Nya subay sad ana no, kay ganahan sad pud ta mapalaw man regarding sa martial law, multi-sect nga kanang mobilization or like a mob. Kay kana jud like especially karon martial law man jud ang atong ginabit-bit jud nga kanang panawagan kay we would like to kanang know more about sa multi-sect nga mob.
Oo.
Sige, unahon lang sa siguro na ko ang una nga pangutana ko unsa mga pwede nga mga organisasyon nga pwede natong kalambigitan no isip mga estudyante. Una kay of course pwede jud ta mo join sa mga mass organizations no. Kung kita mga estudyante sa UP Cebu aduna tay ginatawag nga mass organizations nga mao ang Anak Bayan UP Cebu. Ang kung ganahan mo mga cultural nga mga mga activities mo nadara ang Andres Sugbo nga na mga artista nga na gali ang mga kuan pod aduna pud tay kanang ang only nga political in a sense nga maoy kuan siya nagpadagan siya og mga student leaders for the student council pero aside sa political siya political organization siya kay mas organization pod siya kay nag-ugat man sad siya sa iyahang belief nga dapat adunay usa ka national democratic nga society. So man siya nga ang ginatawag nato nga nagkahiusang kusog sa estudyante. O kana usa sa ko nga parte sa NKA nidagan po ubos sa banner sa NKA. NKA for the previous candidacy pag sikad representative nako gali karon nga vice chairperson sad ko. So kana nga mga organization og if ganahan man mo other forms like mga pagsuwat-suwat siguro kay pwede sad ta nga mo join if usa ka kasikad student kay mo join ta sa lanog or kung dili man gali kasikad student kay aduna pud tay university student publication man yung ginatawag nato og atog ani so kana jud pwede nato channel ang ato ang mga frustration sa government
legit
kalisod mo join ta nila og mauban ta nila og kanang in line with that sad no sa pag join nato og mga organizations kinahanglan pud ta nga mo salmot og mga mobilisasyon so mo na ginaawhag dayon ako ang tanan yung mga listeners nato karon hello guys so adunay umaabot nga karon man no ang opening sa 1081 exhibit so ganina nakakasataw ko sa lightning rally og narehistro nato ang atong mga panawagan kabahin sa pag panawagan nga dapat resurface na gyud ang mga disappeared nga mga biktima nato kay gali ubos sa Marcos Jr. nga administrasyon doon na unom ka pangalan sa lista sa mga desaparecidos ug aduna po taas pod nga numero sa mga political detainees yung ugali ang mga pagpangatake ugali katong nahitabo pud sa amo sa Tacloban before nga pag JSC nga gipanggukod jud mi sa mga kapulisan so mo na kanang gina-register nato dito ang ato ang kampanya og karon pod later di ay adunay film showing ang 1081 exhibit og usa ni siya ang usa sa film kay ang amo ang film nga ako mismo ang usa sa director
Tuwagid ng abangan
makatan-aw mo kay ang title ato kay sa Masa man siya ana siya makita dito nga ang martial law resistance kay dili ra day siya sa Metro Manila dili ra siya sa kanang ginatot nato nga sa Manila
dili may affected
diri sa Cebu mo og aside sad aduna poy inika Biyernes sa gabi adunay cultural night ang 1081 exhibit og after the day after mao ang Saturday adunay multisectoral nga mobilisasyon. Pasabot ani mag-uban ang mga different sectors sa Cebu. So Cebu-wide siya nga Cebu-wide siya nga mag-uban ng mga different sectors, ang youth, peasants, suguban pa. May tabo ni siya sa Fuente Osmeña nya magmarcha hantod sa Metro Colon gikan alas 9 sa buntag hantod alas 12 sa kaudtukon. Kana siya sundan din siya og basic masses exposure the day after that in Sunday.
So hopefully no kay kanang atong tan-awon og atong suportaan si kaubang kaubang iyan sa iyahang kanang paghatag sa iyang like show nga iyang gina-direct, correct no? So subay sa diana kay kinalasang hunat. Unsa man jud ang ato ang kanang mahatag nga mensahe sa kabatan-unan nga kanang mga nahadlok na maredtag, maharas or like mabiktima sa estado kay dili jud biya na matangtang unya aduna batay mga kanang pulong pampadasig na pwede mapaambit sa ilaha.
Sige, ang sa una siguro no kay kinahanglan pud nato i-recognize nga doon na jay mga pagpangatake ang estado o kana tinuod man nga hadlok siya kay imagine na ingnan lang gali ka sa imong parents nga ikaw ha dili ka magrebelde kay mag-UP ka
how so me sakit kayo guys
gikan sa pamilya
mismo ang mobuhat of course na adjay chilling effect nga moingon sa ato ang mahadlok gyud ta pero ang kanisad kung mas ato siyang palapdan ang ato ang pagunahuna kay makita nato nga di ay ang kani nga mga pagpangatake kay kanang tungod sad nahadlok sad ang gobyerno nga mausab ang status quo balik karon ang kanang unsa ang kasamtangan nga kanang status atong katilingban di ba so mao na nga siguro reflection sa nis ato ang nga naaday power ang ato ang pagpakita.
Yes.
So mao na siya kanang every time nga kanang mahuyang ing ana or siguro kanang every time nga kapuyo ng mga kauban ako masulti lang jud guys kay laban
laban it's giving you power jud
mapahulay sa ka kung need og rest pero after sa pagpahulay
padayon
dili man mahuman ang ato ang mga issue until maabtan nato ang tinuuray nga kadaugan
sakto kay subay sa ana no kay they can kill a revolutionary but they can never kill the revolution kung nahadlok man ta sa estado please make it make sense nga if mag-unionize ta, mas nahadlok sila nato, mao nang ginahadlok ta nila. So kana no, thank you kayo kaubang ayan kay kanang grabe kayo ka fruitful ang ato ang discussions karon kay atong nasinati kung unsang martial law, unsay makahimtang sa martial law, ug labi na pinaka-importante sa tanan kung unsa ang ato ang mahimo regarding not just like for kanang having education discussions for like what is martial law, what happened sa martial law, unsa pa atong mabuhat, but rather pukaw gali sa atong mga listeners, sa atong mga viewers nga even if nagtan-aw ra ka, even just by mere posting or like kanang halubilo sa batakang masa ka, you're really doing something and that's the progress that you need to thank yourself because in the future muhatag ra gyud na siya og kanang nindot nga kanang after effect. So nindot kay siya kaubang han no kay kanang dili ra kita ang kanang na-inform nga kanang even this broadcasting itself kay nakahatag ta og information but rather even if ato ra siya ichika-chika sa ato mga classmates kay we're really doing a progress.
Kay it's very important man gyud to talk about these issues no kay kani nga mga issue dili lang man ni ga concern sa lain no kay as what you've mentioned pod gaina nga kani dili layo ang atong struggles as students sa struggle sa uban. So kani siya no, we are connected in some way nga kini nga mga struggles no they are linked pod sa mas dako pagyud nga systemic nga issue nga ginaatubang sa ato ang nasod karon. So if we look back no sa ato ang mga na-discuss gaina kaubang siya nga nagsugod ta sa more on a kanang historical nga context no sa kung unsa pag-develop ang martial law especially kung giunsa pag-mobilize sa ato ang mga sectors adtong first quarter storm no nakita nato kung unsa ang ilahang mga activities or giunsa nila pag-resist no sa ilahang panahon adto and karon pod na natakol pod nato kung unsaon nato pag-participate sa pag-resist sad ani nga pasismo no unsaon nato pag tap in sa strengths sa matag usa no nga ato ang ma-push through ang ato ang mga kausa, atong mga advokasya no para ma-achieve nato ang mga goals as an organization, as groups no.
So legitimism ka dira no nya grabe sa jud kay tanan nga kalang para sa giingon ni kanang kaubang ayan nga ilaban etra gyud na. Sa makausab mao kini si kaubang siya, kauban ninyo sa pakigimamat sa lain-laing sektor sa katilingban.
Ug kini si kaubanghan ang inyong makuyog matag Lunes ug Huwebes alas 10:50 hangtod alas 11:50 sa buntag. Mga eskolar ng bayan, kuyog kitang muuswag
Kay kita, kauban sa masa, para sa masa.
Kay taas ng pader sa aking paligid, munting pisngi ng langit ang tanging nasisilip, mutya kong tinatanging laging naisip, pagkat pagtangis ng mutya'y lubusan kong batid. O mutyang ginigiliw na lukob sa dalita, ang mapaligaya kay tanging ninanasa. Ang kundiman kong ito'y pagpugay sa iyong ganda, gandang namumukadkad pag wala ka ng luha. Huwag kang malungkot sinta sa aking pagkawalay, anuman ang sapitin, gunita mo ay taglay. Ang lahat ng aking lakas na lalabi pang buhay sa iyong kapakanan, aking ialay. Huwag kang malungkot sinta sa aking pagkawalay, anuman ang sapitin, gunita mo ang taglay. Ang lahat ng aking lakas na lalabi pang buhay sa iyong kapakanan, aking ialay. Butihing mutya, bayan ko.
Trigger warning. The following reading contains violent content which may be too intense for some listeners. Listener discretion is advised. Tagubdob sa kamatuoran. Remember, reveal, resist. Ato ang pagapaminahon ang mga sugilanon sa mga biktima nga miharap sa mga adlaw sa kahadlok ug pangdaog-daog sa martial law. Ang ilang mga kasinatian nagpadayag sa tinuod nga nahitabo ug pinaagi sa paghandom sa ilang mga sakripisyo. Dili lang nato atubangon ang brutal nga mga kamatuoran sa atong kasaysayan, kundili gipamatud-an usab nato ang atong pasalig nga lig-ong mubarog batok sa bisan unsang matang sa pagpanglupig. Karon, Paminahon kanato ang istorya ug kaagi ni Dr. Russell B. Muhares.
Russell B. Muhares was a journalist from Cebu who one day found himself swept into the turbulence of martial law. This was a time when dissent was dangerous, especially for those who wrote about the truth, as truth was often buried with those who dared to share it. It was during the early days of when President Marcos declared martial law that Muhares was invited by military intelligence agents to Camp Serio Osmeña, a euphemism that masks the harsh reality he was to face. His crime? Writing columns in the Freeman that were critical of the government. Muhares was also associated with militant student groups like Kabataang Makabayan and Samahang Demokratikong Kabataan. In the eyes of the regime, he was a voice that needed to be silenced. But Muhares' experience was unlike the harsher stories that echoed across the country. Cebu was in a hotbed of rebellion, so his captivity felt strangely different. He wasn't thrown into a dark, cramped cell. Instead, he and other political detainees were housed in soldiers' barracks. They could have visitors, eat better meals brought by their families, and even, on rare occasions, get day passes to leave the camp under guard. It was a surreal existence where freedom and confinement seemed to blend together. After just 2.5 months, Muhares was released, lucky by many standards. Still, this isn't to say that he is now completely free. Even after his release, he was kept on a tight leash, with limits on where he could go and what he could say. Dr. Muhares, an esteemed national artist of the Philippines for literature, shares a profound insight about martial law. He sees it as a means for isolating citizens through the elimination of press freedom, effectively spreading fear. He observed that despite prior conversations about martial law, the lack of precedents left people unprepared for its sudden implementation. During its dark days, the repression of press freedom intensified isolation and fear. However, Muhares feels that print journalism, despite its slower pace and limited reach when compared to electronic media, may combat the sense of isolation created by martial law through promoting discussion, reflection, and depth while cultivating. However, Muhares feels that print journalism, despite its slower pace, Muhares feels that print journalism, despite its slower pace and limited reach when compared to electronic media, may combat the sense of isolation created by martial law through promoting discussion, reflection, and depth while cultivating a sense of community. However, Muhares feels that print journalism, despite its slower pace and limited reach when compared to electronic media, may combat the sense of isolation created by martial law through promoting discussion, reflection, and depth while cultivating a sense of community and informed discourse. Print journalism builds deep relationships with an established community of readers that are critical in maintaining communication and solidarity among individuals during repressive regimes.
Sa atong paghandom sa martial law, kining mga istorya sa mga biktima ang atong pagabitbiton. Nga magpahinumdum kanato sa mga adlaw sa kadulom ug pagpakigbisog. Ang ilang mga istorya nga kaniadto gipahilom karon nagbarog isip usa ka gamhanan nga tawag sa paghinumdum sa nangagi, pagpadayag sa mga tinago nga kamatuoran ug pagsukol sa mga puwersa nga naghulga sa atong kagawasan. Ang ilang mga tingog bisan pa sa pagkahugno magpabilin nga usa ka masilay nga syagit sa paglaom ug kaisog. Ipakita nato ang mga istorya aron mapukaw ang atong pagpanaw sa kagawasan ug mga katungod.
kay taas ng pader sa aking paligid.
Repression, corruption, dictatorship, torture. Uncover the harrowing narratives under the Marcos Sr. regime. Bridging history, confronting realities, reviving resistance. Pagsugil, stories of struggle.
Maayong adlaw. Welcome to a special radio talk series brought to you by DYUP Sugbo and the 1081 exhibit with the theme Tagubtob sa Kamatuuran, Remember, Reveal, Resist.
This year, we echo the importance of remembering the truths of our past, revealing the harsh realities we face today, and resisting all forms of oppression and historical distortion. I am Fab. This is Pagsugil, Stories of Struggle.
In today's episode, we'll be discussing one of the most critical roles in the fight for truth, campus journalism and press freedom. Our student journalists have always been at the forefront of exposing injustice and safeguarding the truth, both during martial law and in today's political climate.
Joining us for this important discussion are representatives from respected student publications in Cebu. We have Tugani, the official student publication of UP Cebu, and Lanog, the student publication of the College of Communication, Art and Design at UP Cebu.
We also have here with us live today's Carolinian, the progressive official student publication of the University of San Carlos, and Ang Suga Publications, the official student publication of Cebu Normal University.
We look forward to hearing their stories on the challenges campus journalists have faced yesterday and today, the importance of press freedom, and how their work continues to inspire the fight for justice. This is Pagsugil, Stories of Struggle.
Welcome Jomar, Christy, Denny, and Paul. We are honored to have you here today to help us remember, reveal, and resist through the stories of struggle on campus journalism and press freedom. But first, let's have our audience get to know more about you. Can you introduce yourself and briefly describe your experience as campus journalist?
Thank you so much for having me. I am Joe Maria Bokni. I am the outgoing associate editor for internal affairs of Tugani. And for 3 years now, Tugani has been at the forefront of fighting and amplifying the voices of the masses and sharing stories of their struggles. And we are very privileged to be given another platform to share these stories.
So, good afternoon. I'm Denny Molato. I am the managing editor for development of today's Carolinian. Thank you so much for having me here. Also, TC, we have been upholding the truths of the Carolinian student body, especially for 5 years we have been operating independently. So, I'm honored to be here to represent the publication.
Hello everyone, good afternoon. I am Paul, an opinion writer of Ang Suga Publication. Ang Suga Publication plays a very important role in disseminating information on the student tree and at the same time in providing a platform where dissent is likely to mobilize at our university, especially that it is controlled by certain problems that each student has to face. And in my tenure as an opinion writer, I have faced multiple issues on politics, especially at the university level.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Christy May Sato, the managing editor of Lanog, and in our second year here as a publication, as we are actually a really new publication, it's really an honor and a privilege to have this platform to echo the voices of those that we represent, especially aside from the communication and finance students of UP Cebu. We also echo the voices of those of our campus and the people that we advocate for.
All right, thank you so much for that. Before anything, we are so honored to have you here to talk about press freedom, freedom of expression, and democracy. But before anything, we acknowledge the importance that campus journalists face, or we acknowledge the roles of campus journalists in today's society. But before anything, what motivated you to become a campus journalist in the first place, and how has your role evolved since then?
I have to be honest. I started journalism when I was in elementary, and back then, it was mainly for competitions. As you all know, in high school, most of our journalists are actually engaged in the SPC, RSPC, and SPC. But here in Togani, when I joined the campus journalist as a campus journalist, actually it has evolved to more really as a selfless sacrifice for the masses and amplifying the voices of the oppressed people and telling stories, no, with no hesitance to amplify these stories of oppression and really amplifying really the voices of the masses in an otherwise media controlled and perpetuating telling stories of only those who are in power.
For my end, I guess I'm the same sad as Jomar. When I started joining student publications around junior high school, but it was mainly for the purpose of wanting to be more well-rounded in various forms of writing. And being a full-time student journalist really wasn't appealing to me then because I was only there tungod lang naganahan ko mag-improve, ana. But pagkasulod na ako sa USC in 2022, like fresh off the 2022 presidential elections, like grabe akong disappointment sa outcome ato, and I joined TC because naanagani ko na feel na sense of responsibility towards the people of my country, na like I really felt na a sense of duty, and then I thought na if I put my skills as a student journalist to use na in behalf of the people, like I could say na kanang worth it na nagani siya. So yeah, mao na siya for me.
I think it was basically the same for me too. So my journalism journey started when elementary school. Pero since I developed in my high school years, my sense of justice developed. I realized that journalism, or amplifying the truth of the masses, is not only confined on the parameters of competition, and it was a decision for me before joining college to apply for a publication because it would serve as an avenue or a conduit for my sense of justice. And really, ang Suga publication really served as an avenue for me to air out my concerns, especially to issues that basically are detrimental to the students.
I guess I have to say the same, especially with Jomar. I started in elementary school when I was still joining as a journalist for the SPCs or SPCs for that sole reason. But when I got to the city, when I started being a campus journalist here in the city, especially here in UP, now in the most recent years, the past few years that I've been here in Lanog, I have actually been awakened to the part where I want to advocate for the voices of the people, and not only joining, like what Paul said, not only confined in the four corners of a classroom or in competitions, but there's a duty that I want to give to the people of the masses in the Philippines, especially with the state of journalism here in the country right now.
Thank you for sharing with us your experience as campus journalists. Indeed, really our campus journalists definitely embody selfless sacrifice in extending a mile to really amplify the voices of the masses and the public. As campus journalists, they have long played an important role in documenting the truth, especially during a critical period in our history, the martial law specifically. During that time, student publications were some of the few remaining voices that stood up against censorship and state oppression.
And today, you guys continue to serve critical roles as alternative media in exposing societal ills and injustices. As campus journalists, can you please walk us through the impacts of the suppression of the freedom of expression and of the press in the past?
As much as I want to say that for the 51 years of history of Togani that we have been as we are now, very militarist and very active in our progressive ideals and pushing for the amplifying the voices of the masses. This has not been the case during martial law. Department Order Number 1 during martial law mandated that all news outlets play a role in supporting the administration of martial law by exclusively reporting news deemed to have a positive national impact. And sadly, Tugani, as we have browsed through our archives, it has been propagating and sharing really the propaganda of the Marcos administration of what many people now wrongfully and nostalgically remember as the golden era, which is as time as Tugani pushed forward throughout the years has been trying to revoke, it has been trying to actually erase from the minds of the people.
As for the end of today's Carolinian, actually, the publication was before us. They're called the Carolinian. We just discovered this week. Pero in our USC museum, there was a magazine issued in 1971, wherein like naana gani mga progressive kaayo na ideas na naayon Marxism, Leninism, Maoism, and like the thing na it was issued in 1971, the year before martial law was declared, like klaro kaayo na it was an indicator jud na grabe ang political unrest. And the more that we tried to look for copies no within the period of martial law kanang, we did not find anything. It's because kanang we were shut down jud. We weren't really able to kanang issue out mga newspapers, mga magazines na even catering to like Marcos propaganda, like Tuganis, like wala jud me. So we only got to be established na lang after martial law because the students called for it along with the re-establishment of our student council ato nga time. So yeah, mao na siya.
I think same with ang Suga publication because before Cebu Normal University became CNU, it was basically Cebu State College, and the lack of publication during that time was a testament to how detrimental the reign of Marcos was. Basically, there was no records of underground journalism coming from ang Suga publication, and it was a very clear testament to how powerful was the clutches of Marcos Sr. But the birth of ang Suga in 1981 was also a symbolic or a poetic testament to how important journalism is, or how important the student press when it comes to democracy, and it served an avenue for the people. Since 1981, ang Suga has been serving the studentry and amplifying the voices of the students.
As for Lanog, we are a really new publication here in UP Cebu. This is only our second year, but from what they've said, we do resonate, we do sympathize, and we do acknowledge that the state of campus journalism in the era of martial law is something that's concerning, because not only were the big media outlets during that time were affected, also the campus press back then were also affected. So when we think about the lack of records that the publication had in those years, we can really say that even though we're fairly a new publication, the importance of having campus press in today's age, especially with the new Marcos in position, it really does amplify the need and the importance of how the voices of the students are really important to share and acknowledge our advocacies and to enlighten the voices of the masses.
So thank you for such well-rounded answers. So in light of these experiences, how do you think the struggles faced by campus journalists during the martial law compare to the challenges faced by campus journalists today?
Actually, during martial law, there was the Presidential Decree number 191, which stipulated that all news agencies had to obtain clearance from Media Advisory Council. So basically, they were censored, and all the articles that they have published must be in line with the administration. And of course, Tugani, thankfully, we have been independent from the UP administration, even from the other institutions such as in UP Cebu, such as UNISO and the Student Council. But however, I could not say the same for many state colleges, SUCs, and even, for example, other private schools such as USC that has been prone and has been harassed by their administration to become a PR instead of a campus outlet for the students.
Compared to ML, no, like we were basically non-existent jud ang TC. But then right now, it's a miracle na for 5 years jud we have been operating independently. Pero if I have to compare the experience siguro from martial law to now, it's more of na we have more authorities na to deal with, such as our school administration na kanang dugay na kaayo na we cannot really meet halfway, unfortunately. And I guess na kanang just because we're operating independently na ay kanang false sense of safety and security, especially na naay kanang mga I guess mga state presence na in various universities. I guess it can be said pod na here for everyone here. Na ay red tagging, na ay intimidation tactics by the state na like normal na sa amo na naami makitaan na police or like a literal soldier in campus grounds. So like kanang just because dili na mihilabtan doesn't mean the danger is still not there. So like I guess the point I want to push is that naagyapon ang violence sa martial law now. It's just that right now, very subtle lang gani sila. They're very quiet about it. And they watch na lang our every move before they choose to strike. Kana siya.
For ang Sugbo publication, I do think that even though we establish some kind of democracy, but at the end of the day, there are still many problems that these campus press face. Because, for example, in ang Sugbo publication, when the Armed Forces of the Philippines delivered a meeting, it was basically about red tagging. They were talking about how students should not go into activism. And when ang Sugbo posted our airings on that, and when ang Sugbo was basically against it, people were like basically saying that we don't know how to fact check, that the publication of CNU doesn't know how to fact check, and that shows that it is a very problem gyapon in the midst of this campus press. And at the same time, when we called out the CNU administration on why Amy Marcos was in CNU giving out 5k pesos aids, and it was just basically the money of the people, we were basically called out by the administration. Some of our opinion writers were called out by SADO, which is a Student Affairs Office, and it is a very testament to how, even though we have a facade of democracy, that student press, even today, still face these major problems.
As for our end, you can really say na we do have a lot more way for us to report and freely talk about things, especially here in UP Cebu. We do get to report on the things and we are free to express, especially in opinion articles and everything else. But yes, like what they said, it doesn't mean that the danger is still not there, because especially the harassment and the intimidation that the police still hold against the campus press, they still want to intimidate the press in a way that they want the press to watch what they publish, to watch what they say, because it feels like anytime they can probably strike against these publication and probably not shut down but maybe silence in a way that they can control and censor the pubs right now. So in comparison to the campus press before, or basically like journalism in general, we do have a lot more leeway, but at the same time the danger is still lurking.
All right, so far, thank you for walking us through the critical role of campus journalism and for shedding light on the issues of repression of freedom of the press, freedom of expression, and how campus journalists continue to be the voice for championing democracy. Now, before we continue with the stories of struggle, let's take a quick break to reflect on what we've heard so far.
After the break, we'll delve deeper into their roles in campus journalism and press freedom.
Stay with us, we've got more stories of struggle to remember, reveal, and resist ahead when we return on Pagsugil, Stories of Struggle, right here on DYUP Sugbo.
Ka tuig na ang milabay sukad gideklarar ang balaod militar sa atong nasod. Pero nagpabilin gihapon ang mga epekto sa maong mangit-ngit nga rehimen.
Sobra na ang pagpapahirap sa mamamayang Pilipino. Sobra na ang
napasiugda sa maong panahon ang pagpanglupig, pagtamak sa tawhanong katungod o pagpahilom sa mga nisubang.
Which may be implemented by the military authorities, but still is a power embodied in the Constitution.
Sa atong paghandom sa mga sakripisyo o kasinitian sa mga nakibisog alang sa kagawasan, atong ipadayon ang paghinumdum sa ilang mga kaagi, pagpadayag sa kamatuuran o pagbatok laban sa panglupig aron mapanalipdan ang atong mga katungod o makuha ang tinud-anay na demokrasya. Remember, reveal, resist.
Uncover the harrowing narratives under the Marcos Sr. regime. Pagsugil, Stories of Struggle.
We're back on Pagsugil, Stories of Struggle. We've been discussing the inspiring stories of our guests and the challenges faced of campus journalism during martial law. And they really give us a context of how these public student publications in Cebu City strive amidst the repression or the state repression or the external forces that try to control them.
Sakto Jud, and just as it was crucial back then, journalism, especially our campus journalists right now, remain an essential force in today's society. Now let's talk more about the role of campus journalism and press freedom in our current context.
So for the next question, what is the current state of press freedom in the Philippines, what do you think?
As much as we want to say that in our modern day democracy that we have the malaya at mapagpalayang the campus press, the reality of the ground, especially as reported by CEGP, the widest alliance of collegiate student publications in the country, they report 206 incidents of campus press violations. This includes attacks on the editorial independence of the publication. This included red tagging and other forms of state censorship or state harassment from the very institutions that are constitutionally mandated to protect us. They perpetuate these attacks against our press freedom. So even though one might say that there is a facade of democracy, as already stated, the reality is that there is that the states are trying to create a chilling effect among student journalists. But despite this, I want to laud most or everyone, especially of our campus press and the media, our friends from the media, that they remain independent, that they, despite these circumstances, they persist, they ceaselessly fight, and they try to hold the line.
What I can contribute lang no kay like ang akong maingon na ang state jud sa press freedom kay bleak jud siya, kay kuan, I think we can trace it back jud na blatant na kaayo back to the Duterte administration, and then I think na kana like kami gidefund me pag 2019 and that was around Duterte's term. So like there is a pattern, and I guess like what I want to say pud is na ma-favor raman good ang press karon if the facts that we have favor the authorities. So like this statement does not just go for our national government right now, but also for various educational institutions like what Jomar pointed out. And I can say na that is the situation sa TC, pero with this state no of campus press na gihimo na lang siyang call to action, especially sa amo sa TC, na ang journalism is centered na on the bigger society to push through even though it's scary. So naadjud ang thought na we must hold the line no matter what at all costs. Kana siya.
I do think that the state of press freedom in the Philippines has a very much long way to go pa. Because even if we have institutions now that try to ensure the protection and security of our student press, we are still facing very blatant issues on the part that which makes our freedom, which makes our discharge of our functions in terms of service a little bit detrimental, because we face these issues at the very end of the day. But we need to consider that as these student publications, especially TC and Tugani, have been more progressive, the challenges of these student press are also becoming more blatant. They are also becoming more apparent, and that is the state of press freedom today, especially on the grounds. So while we consider how these student publications are progressive, well, it is celebratory at the end of the day, we still need to push for bigger discussions on why we have certain problems on these student publications, because their avenue or their pursuit is actually very progressive and it is very nice, but they still face this institutional challenge at the end of the day, and that is a very big question on the Philippine government to begin with.
I do agree on what Paul said, especially when he said that the state of press freedom right now has a long way to go because when we look back, the intimidation, the harassment that the government puts on press in general, not only the campus press, is something that does create a chilling effect, like what Jomar said. And it's something that doesn't really scream that is censored ka period, but it's something that scares them into censoring. Like it puts them in a place where they have no choice but to censor, or else something would happen to them. Worst case scenario, the things that we've heard when people are getting red tagged, especially in the journalism field. So the state of press freedom right now is something crucial and something that needs to be addressed, especially with the chilling effects that is domino affecting into like other publications, especially in the campus press.
All right. In line with that discussion, given that these problems of red tagging, state repression was during the Marcos Sr. regime, and now that we have another Marcos in power, have you or your publication experienced any form of pressure or censorship at all?
There's no, especially from the UP administration and the other institutions in UP Cebu. So far, we are thankful that Tugani's editorial independence has been upheld all throughout the time. But this doesn't mean that there were no attacks on us, especially with the red tagging of our former EICs, Kuyak Live and Ati Jobs. Their photos were actually also found in photographs from police and state forces. So this really boils down to the fact that there are attempts, but as much as we can, we try to hold the line.
There's so much that I can say as a member of today's Carolinian. So, I already brought up earlier na we were defunded 5 years ago because we were covering TOEFL, the TOEFL from 2019, which is basically the tuition fee increase, and the admin found it disrespectful. So the fund collection was that privilege was taken away, and it's not just that. We have experienced various campus press freedom violations pa in recent since last year. So I guess our offices being taken. We have no offices now on campus. Being hindered from covering our university intramurals. And I guess the third one is last year, one of our photojournalists covered a protest and his ID was taken. We issued a statement about that, and then I guess like if I would talk pa about the various violations we've had, mula pasta sa time. So I'll stop there lang sa.
Thank you.
So, last semester, we had our intramurals at Ang Suga publication. But instead of us getting our funds, the administration basically gave zero to Ang Suga publication. So instead of our traditional newsletters, we produced nothing, and that is a fault of the administration. And that has a domino effect, especially to the journalists, because of the lack of fund. All of Ang Suga publications journalists did not receive any support. The administration did not even give us food, and that speaks a lot to how their bureaucratic process has basically created a problem for us. And furthermore, a few months later, so Ang Suga publication released a carousel post of 4 opinion articles on the issues of graduation and the issues of intramurals, and basically that garnered a lot of clamors from the students of CNU. And because of that, 4 of our opinion writers were basically called out by the administration. So the administration basically subpoenaed our opinion writers, and that is very scary. And they intend to basically say to us that before you post these things, make sure you fact check, make sure you talk to us. And that has a very crucial discussion to talk about, because that basically kills the freedom of independence when it comes to Ang Suga publication, and that is a very huge problem that basically that even Ang Suga doesn't only experience that, even DC and Tugani.
Okay, so as for Lanog, like what Jomar said, we're really thankful that the UP Cebu administration, our college, CCAD, is not putting any pressure or trying to censor us in any way. But yes, it doesn't mean that there isn't like external pressure, especially from outside factors like the government or something that may pose a threat to our safety as journalists here in Lanog. So something that maybe I can talk about is the recent JSC there in Tacloban. They had a lightning rally composed of student publications as well as the student councils from the UP system. And when that happened, there was a lightning rally that was supposed to be like 15 to 20 minutes long. But what happened was in the last parts of that said rally, the police came there and harassed them and even threatened to maybe like capture them or something. And it was something that really intimidated not only the student councils, the safety of the student councils, but also the press that we're trying to cover. They were somehow also involved in the harassment, and that really says a lot that they're not really after the thing what we say, like the activists itself. They're also trying to silence those who are trying to like echo the calls of those said activists. So that palang is very like crucial to think about, that there's external factors that will always attack the press, especially campus press.
So thank you for your insightful discussion, guys. So in line with these repression that blatantly tries to oppress the press, as a campus journalist, how important is it to advocate for social justice and political change, and how do you fulfill this responsibility?
Yeah, so for Tugani, we already we fight the good fight. We try to as much cover these events. For example, we try to give really the facts and let them speak and be the catalyst for social change. For example, in the carbon privatization, the facts are that the vendors are the one who are displaced. The river rehabilitation by Cebu City, the ISF, the thousands of families are losing their homes for a beautification project. So really, the important thing here is that we should maintain our editorial independence, and we should be funded for us to continue the good fight.
It is our duty to shed light on the realities of the student body, but as for TC, instead of just shedding light on the students, we also want to shed light on the people that are in the university, like not just us, but maybe teachers or like other non-teaching faculty. Like for example, we covered the Lumad raid operation because USC, we have sheltered Lumad children a few years ago, and then the PNP held a quote-unquote rescue operation to capture those children. And I was not a member of the publication at that time, but grabe jud ang coverage nila ana, which shows TC's willingness gapon to side with the marginalized, because journalism at the end of the day kay kuan man na siya, at the end of the day you still have to pick a side. And for TC and of course Tugani, we choose to side with the marginalized, and journalism man good should serve people. So if you are serving yourself, or if you're serving no one for the sake of being neutral, then what's the point, 'di ba? So yeah, mao na siya.
Yeah, I super agree with what Demi said. But I do think that even the problems on the micro level, or the problems each student faces, it is not detached to the whole political issue. So our problems today is basically just a reduced version of what really is the problem in terms of the political issue, of the macro level political issue. And it is a very important notion to think about that, because it basically tells us that the duty of journalism is not only confined within the university walls, nor it is not only confined on news writing, because the duty of journalism basically revitalizes when we talk when we give the stakeholders their platform, because if the government can give them the platform, student publications can give them those platforms, and that amplifies their voices, that funnels the attention of the government to do reforms on how they can solve these problems that these marginalized individuals face.
speaking as an individual and as Lanog in general, we do what they said, what Danny and Jomar said, that we side with the good side, because I believe in what Ato Morello said, that the truth is never neutral, that we always side that some things like that, when there are people who are getting oppressed, the marginalized people, and when we say that the journalism is neutral, then that's just giving another voice to the oppressors, and then that's what we do believe in. And we advocate for the positive change in the way that we always echo the voices of the masses. As Lanog does mean echo, we do echo the voices of the masses, not only of the students of CCAD, not only of the students of UP Cebu, but the voices of many, especially when we dabble into the state of the nation right now, not only with journalism, but the state of what the government is putting the country through. So that's what how we advocate for our way of positive change as journalists.
Indeed, thank you for fighting the good fight. It has been a stimulating discussion with you guys, and it clearly shows that campus journalists continue to champion and become the critical voice in reclaiming the narrative. Before we finish things off, we have one last question for our dear guests. I'm sure there are aspiring campus journalists and youth activists tuning in right now. As a message, very briefly lang, to those listening in, what role should aspiring campus journalists play in fighting against modern-day fascism, oppression, historical distortion, and revisionism?
My one thing is that join Tugani, join our publications, to fight the good fight, be the voice of the people, be the voice of the voiceless, and serve the people.
I would also like to add that journalism, it's not some individualistic task. You're not alone in providing information that is in favor of the masses. So yes, join our publications and continue to persevere with the truth.
The more you amplify voices of the marginalized, the more you contribute to society, and it gives you the notion that your duty is not only about yourself, as what Demi said, but it is about how you contribute to society. And yeah, as what ang suga literally means in Bisaya, be the light for other people.
As what I said, Lanog does mean to echo the voices. So join our publications, and we all we all advocate for the same thing, to echo the voices of many, represent their calls, and be the voice that they need, especially in this situation right now that we are in, and that you are never alone. As you can see that we here are representing 4 different publications, and you are not alone in trying to stand up for the people and the masses in this country.
And that wraps up today's episode of Pagsugil Stories of Struggle. A big thank you to our guests from Tugani, Lanog, Today's Carolinian, and Ang Suga publication for sharing their invaluable insights.
We hope today's discussion has inspired you to remember, reveal, and resist. Tune in for tomorrow's episode as we invite guests from various activist organizations. This is Fab.
And this is Steven, signing off. Salamat kaayo ug maayong hapon.
Repression, corruption, dictatorship, torture. Uncover the harrowing narratives under the Marcos Sr. regime. Bridging history, confronting realities, reviving resistance. Pagsugil, Stories of Struggle.
Trigger warning. The following reading contains violent content which may be too intense for some listeners. Listener discretion is advised. Tagubtob sa kamatuoran. Remember, reveal, resist. Ato ang pagapaminawon ang mga sugilanon sa mga biktima nga miharap sa mga adlaw sa kahadlok ug pangdaog-daog sa martial law. Ang ilang mga kasinatian nagpadayag sa tinuod nga nahitabo ug pinaagi sa paghandom sa ilang mga sakripisyo. Dili lang nato atubangon ang brutal nga mga kamatuoran sa atong kasaysayan, kundili gipamatud-an usab nato ang atong pasalig nga lig-ong mubarog batok sa bisan unsang matang sa pagpanglupig. Karon, paminahon kanato ang istorya ug kaagi ni Dr. Russell B. Mujares.
Russell B. Mujares was a journalist from Cebu who one day found himself swept into the turbulence of martial law. This was a time when dissent was dangerous, especially for those who wrote about the truth, as truth was often buried with those who dared to share it. It was during the early days of when President Marcos declared martial law that Mujares was invited by military intelligence agents to Camp Serio Osmeña, a euphemism that masked the harsh reality he was to face. His crime? Writing columns in the Freeman that were critical of the government. Mujares was also associated with militant student groups like Kabataang Makabayan and Samahang Demokratikong Kabataan. In the eyes of the regime, he was a voice that needed to be silenced. But Mujares' experience was unlike the harsher stories that echoed across the country. Cebu was in a hotbed of rebellion, so his captivity felt strangely different. He wasn't thrown into a dark, cramped cell. Instead, he and other political detainees were housed in soldiers' barracks. They could have visitors, eat better meals brought by their families, and even, on rare occasions, get day passes to leave the camp under guard. It was a surreal existence where freedom and confinement seemed to blend together. After just 2.5 months, Mujares was released, lucky by many standards. Still, this isn't to say that he is now completely free. Even after his release, he was kept on a tight leash, with limits on where he could go and what he could say. Dr. Mujares, an esteemed national artist of the Philippines for literature, shares a profound insight about martial law. He sees it as a means for isolating citizens through the elimination of press freedom, effectively spreading fear. He observed that despite prior conversations about martial law, the lack of precedents left people unprepared for its sudden implementation. During its dark days, the repression of press freedom intensified isolation and fear. However, Mujares feels that print journalism, despite its slower pace and limited reach when compared to electronic media, may combat the sense of isolation created by martial law through promoting discussion, reflection, and depth while However, Mujares feels that print journalism, despite its slower pace, and limited reach when compared to electronic media, may combat the sense of isolation created by martial law through promoting discussion, reflection, and depth while cultivating a sense of community. However, Mujares feels that print journalism, despite its slower pace and limited reach when compared to electronic media, may combat the sense of isolation created by martial law through promoting discussion, reflection, and depth while cultivating a sense of community and informed discourse. Print journalism builds deep relationships with an established community of readers that are critical in maintaining communication and solidarity among individuals during repressive regimes.
Sa atong paghandom sa martial law, kining mga istorya sa mga biktima ang atong pagabitbiton. Nga magpahinumdum kanato sa mga adlaw sa kadulong ug pagpakigbisog. Ang ilang mga istorya nga kaniadto gipahilom karon nagbarog isip usa ka gamhanan nga tawag sa paghinumdum sa nangagi, pagpadayag sa mga tinago nga kamatuoran ug pagsukol sa mga puwersa nga naghulga sa atong kagawasan. Ang ilang mga tingog bisan pa sa pagkahugno magpabilin nga usa ka masilay nga syagit sa paglaom ug kaisog. Ipakita nato ang mga istorya aron mapukaw ang atong pagpanaw sa kagawasan ug mga katungod.
Kay taas ng pader sa aking balik.
Trigger warning. The following reading contains violent content which may be too intense for some listeners. Listener discretion is advised. Tagubtob sa kamatuoran. Remember, reveal, resist. Ato ang pagapaminawon ang mga sugilanon sa mga biktima nga miharap sa mga adlaw sa kahadlok ug pangdaog-daog sa martial law. Ang ilang mga kasinatian nagpadayag sa tinuod nga nahitabo ug pinaagi sa paghandom sa ilang mga sakripisyo. Dili lang nato atubangon ang brutal nga mga kamatuoran sa atong kasaysayan, kundili gipamatud-an usab nato ang atong pasalig nga lig-ong mubarog batok sa bisan unsang matang sa pagpanglupig. Karon, paminahon kanato ang istorya o kaagi nila Father Rudy Romano ug Levi Ibanez.
On July 11, 1985, Cebu City was draped in an oppressive shroud of fear and darkness as two courageous lives were violently wrenched from existence. They go to the priest. They go to the church. They come to me. I am their voice. I am fighting on their behalf. Don't worry, Dad. If I die, I have no family, and you will know who has killed me. These were the words of Father Rosaleo Rudy Romano that resonated with the weight of his commitment to the oppressed, a commitment that cost him everything. Father Rosaleo Rudy Romano was a Redemptorist priest deeply committed to the plight of the poor. He dedicated his life, together with his deep bond with the people, to advocating for human rights and speaking out against the abuses of the Marcos regime. Father Rudy's care and bravery made him a symbol of hope during the dark times of martial law. He organized rallies, mobilized communities, and used his voice in homilies to expose the injustices faced by many. Father Rudy was supposed to celebrate Mass at the Redemptorist Church. When he didn't arrive, a fellow knocked on his door, but there was no response. The superior then opened Father Rudy's room, only to find it empty and untouched. There was no note or clue about where he had gone, just an unsettling void where he should have been. On July 11, 1985, Father Rudy was abducted by armed men in one of the barangays in Cebu City. He was intercepted by military operatives. Witnesses described a scene of chaos and fear as he was forcibly taken, leaving behind a community that would never see him again. Despite extensive searches and ongoing efforts to uncover the truth, Father Rudy's fate remains a haunting mystery nearly 4 decades later. On the very same day, July 11, 1985, Roland Levi Ibanez, a young and passionate activist devoted to human rights, was snatched from Santiago Street in broad daylight. Levi, a member of the Coalition Against People's Persecution, or CAPP, was en route to the Professionals Forum office when he disappeared into the void. His fate entwined with that of Father Rudy Romano, who was also being abducted on that very day. Their fearless denunciation of human rights violations made him a target during a time when dissent was met with violence. Their disappearance serves as a reminder of the many lives lost to tyranny and oppression. After all these years, Father Rudy Romano's case remains unsolved, his fate a lingering shadow. His whereabouts are still unknown, and he was never seen again.
Sa atong paghandom sa martial law, kining mga istorya sa mga biktima ang atong pagabitbiton. Nga magpahinumdum kanato sa mga adlaw sa kadulom ug pagpakigbisog. Ang ilang mga istorya nga kaniadto gipahilom karon nagbarog isip usa ka gamhanan nga tawag sa paghinumdum sa nangagi. pagpadayag sa mga tinago nga kamatuoran, ug pagsukol sa mga puwersa nga naghulga sa atong kagawasan. Ang ilang mga tingog, bisan pa sa pagkahugno, magpabilin nga usa ka masilay nga syagit sa paglaom ug kaisog. Ipakita nato ang mga istorya aron mapukaw ang atong pagpanaw sa kagawasan ug mga katungod.
Kay taas ng pader sa aking paligid.
The proclamation of martial law is not a military takeover.
54 ka tuig na ang milabay sukat gideklarar ang balaod militar sa atong nasod. Pero nagpabilin gihapon ang mga epekto sa maong mangitngit nga rehimen.
Sobra na ang pagpapahirap sa mamamayang Pilipino. Sobra na ang
Napasiugda sa maong panahon ang pagpanglupig, pagtamak sa tawhanong katungod ug pagpahilom sa mga nisupang.
Which may be implemented by the military authorities, but still is a power embodied in the country to protect the
Sa atong paghandom sa mga sakripisyo ug kasinitian sa mga nakibisog alang sa kagawasan, atong ipadayon ang paghinumdum sa ilang mga kaagi, pagpadayag sa kamatuoran ug pagbatok laban sa panglupig aron mapanalipdan ang atong mga katungod ug makuha ang tinud-anay na demokrasya. Remember, reveal, resist.
Trigger warning. The following reading contains violent content which may be too intense for some listeners. Listener discretion is advised. Tagubtob sa kamatuoran. Remember, reveal, resist. Ato ang pagapaminawon ang mga sugilanon sa mga biktima nga miharap sa mga adlaw sa kahadlok ug pangdaog-daog sa martial law. Ang ilang mga kasinatian nagpadayag sa tinuod nga nahitabo ug pinaagi sa paghandom sa ilang mga sakripisyo. Dili lang nato atubangon ang brutal nga mga kamatuoran sa atong kasaysayan, kundili gipamatud-an usab nato ang atong pasalig nga lig-ong mubarog batok sa bisan unsang matang sa pagpanglupig. Karon, paminawon kanato ang istorya ug kaagi ni Francisco Bimbo Fernandez.
2 military trucks are on the way. Remembering what happened on September 23, 1972, these were the words of a sugar worker who woke Francisco Bimbo Fernandez up. He was then asleep, also recalling that the night before he had a meeting with some sugar workers to prepare for their confrontation with the farm manager, saying that they should be ready, especially with the warning that martial law was imminent. But what led to this moment? He was then 21 years old. After dropping out from a seminary, he headed for Bais, where he joined the local activist Concerted Action Group. With very few resources, they declared a citywide strike of sugar workers. Two memories remain vivid. One was when the goons shot at them, where a sugar worker on his left was killed and a volunteer on his right was hit in the head. The other event was when they declared a citywide protest and paralyzed the entire city, with market vendors and tricycle drivers fully supporting them. With their extensive and deep connections, they decided to organize a political party, Partido Cabus, or the Poor People's Party. But on election day, they could not stand the goons of the hacienderos, and they lost. It was only more than 6 months later when they again attempted to reorganize Bais. Unfortunately, even before martial law was announced, 2 truckloads of soldiers came to arrest them. But they were not ready. He, together with his friends, did not know what to do. They scrambled and fled to the mountains. And on October 4th, he got arrested and detained with common criminals in the Negros Oriental Provincial Jail. He was detained for 6 months. He admitted that his story is different because unlike fathers Ben Alforque and Pix Picardal in Cebu, he was not tortured. He was mauled once, but most times he was treated well. The criminal prisoners and the prison guards have heard of what they have done for the sugar workers in Bais. Life in jail was fairly comfortable for him. He had many friends, played basketball every day, learned mahjong, and his food was even better than the meals with sugar workers, especially during the strike. But what was painful was the thought that their dream for a better life for the sugar workers may no longer be. And worst, this disgrace of their dignity and humanity was deceptively clothed with the claim that martial law was to create a new society that would eliminate poverty, hunger, corruption, and violence, and that martial law was a revolution of the poor. His experiences left him with 2 messages. One, on how non-governmental organizations must influence the government, and 2, Marcos could not fool the people all the time. It took a long time and many had to sacrifice, some with their lives, but in the end, people woke up. Hopefully, the people will still wake up from this deja vu.
Sa atong paghandom sa martial law, kining mga istorya sa mga biktima ang atong
Kaliho, kasadya, kadasig, sa kinalibukan sa Cebu, kani ang nakakaloko, crazy local fight,
Ang ilang mga istorya nga kaniadto gipahilom karon nagbarog isip usa ka gamhanan nga tawag sa paghinumdum sa nangagi, pagpadayag sa mga tinago nga kamatuoran ug pagsukol sa mga puwersa nga naghulga sa atong kagawasan. Ang ilang mga tingog bisan pa sa pagkahugno, magpabilin nga usa ka masilay nga syagit sa paglaom ug kaisog. Ipakita nato ang mga istorya aron mapukaw ang atong pagpanaw sa kagawasan ug mga katungod.
Kay taas ng pader sa aking paligid, munting pisngi ng langit ang tanging nasisilip, mutya kong tinatanging laging naisip, pagkat pagtangis ng mutya'y lubusan kong batid. O mutyang ginigiliw na lukog sa dalita, ang mapaligaya kay tanging ninanasa. Ang kundiman kong ito'y pagpugay sa iyong ganda, Gandang namumukadkad pag wala ka ng luha. Huwag kang malungkot sinta sa aking pagkawalay. Ano man ang sapitin, gunita mo ay taglay. Ang lahat ng aking lakas na lalabi pang buhay sa iyong kapakanan, aking ialay. Huwag kang malungkot sinta sa aking pagkawalay. Anong man ang sapitin, gunita mo ang taglay. Ang lahat ng aking lakas na lalabi pang buhay sa iyong kapakanan, aking ialay. Butihing mutya, bayan ko.
Kaliho, kasadya, kadasig, sa kinalibukan sa Cebu. Kami ang nakakaloko, Crazy Local 5. Crazy Local 5.
Welcome back to an exciting episode of NKKLKL Crazy Local Finds, where we unearth the cool spots, discover hidden gems, and spot local havens on a budget. Ako di ay si DJ Reeve, and ang uptick og excited yun, basta fun finds na ang hisgutan. Together with my co-host, Kauban nako sa akong local find journeys.
DJ Kat! What's up, guys? It's me. Super delighted to be back on air. And grabe, do we have a treat for you? Stay tuned good po, guys, sa upcoming episodes ng NKKLKL.
For today's episode of NKKLKL Thursday Thrills, no? Kay we'll be having our 1081 episode in honor of our celebration sa 1081 week. So we will be taking you guys to some historic places here in the very heart of Cebu. This is to bring light and awareness na grabe kaayo ang effects jud sa martial law na naadyoy impactful sites nga nabilin here within our province pod.
Yes, thank you for that, DJ Reeve. I can't wait to share this also to our dear listeners. Partner, no? It is very important yun na ma-feature pod need nato because as the saying goes, never again, never forget. Di gyud na nato sila kalimtan. Mao nang ilahon sa nato ni sila. But before that, don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms, DYUP Sugbo, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter at DYUP Sugbo. This way, you can get the behind-the-scenes glimpses and stay updated on upcoming episodes.
Right. Yes, if you're looking for more options for dining, shopping, studying, or simply leisure activities, then make sure to stay tuned for upcoming episodes. Now, let's start the show by introducing our first highlight. Only here on NKKLKL, discover the unseen, treasure the affordable. Right, okay. So, unsa man ang ato ang first feature karon, DJ Kat? Unsa man atong first feature for today's commemoration of the martial law exhibit? So if may idea, guys, we are actually discovering our feature one that is just to be found in the Katipunan Street. So what is Katipunan Street all about? So kani siya di jud ni siya angay kalimtan mga taga Cebu kay ang mo ni siya ang story ni Father Rudy Romano. Kay during martial law, Father Romano took the side of the poor, especially through his work sa Redemptorist Church. So, iya jud gina-embody ang iyang mission as a priest through serving the people in his own way. Aside sa iyang religious devotion, kay active leader jud si Father Romano sa anti-dictatorship movement in Cebu during martial law.
So, meron din pala ditong places na may commemoration for martial law victims, ano? So, this place pala in Katipunan Street, it's actually a monument dedicated to him kay dili siya last nakita ng mga tao before siya dinukot last July 11, 1985 on Barangay Tisa.
Ooh, so, pero until now pala, Father Romano has not yet surfaced after those martial law situation or kaya along Katipunan Street in Barangay Tisa, there is a monument dedicated to him as what you've said, di ba? Actually, ang kaning monument marks the exact place sa ginatal ni Miss Kat. So, sa atong mga listeners na mga active sa Catholic Church, pwede na sa Redemptorist Church along R. Aboitiz Street. Yes. So,
pero DJ Reeve, from UP Cebu, paano kaya tayo makakapunta sa monument na to?
That's a very interesting question. Okay. Other information is also available on. Other information is also about the exact location where this street is located. This monument is located. So, ang kaniyang monument is actually located at Katipunan Street at Barangay Tisa, Cebu City, Redemptorist, or the R. Aboitiz Street, Queens Road, Cebu City, Cebu. So, I think pwede na siya agion dapit sa may Virama. There are other ways that you can actually get here. Kay, if you are from, of course, if you're from UPC or from Lahug area, you can actually take the Mango Jeep or the jeep that has light blue color and yellow that travels from IT Park to Labangon. So you can also ride a 04L jeep to from Ayala Center, and from there you can actually take a 12L jeep to arrive at Tisa. So sa Redemptorist, how about how can we get to Redemptorist Church, DJ Kat?
Ayan, from Redemptorist Church or from UPC, you may ride either a 17C or 14I jeepney that travels along Mango Avenue. To confirm, you can always ask naman the kuya and ate drivers whether the road includes the Mango Avenue. From there, you should be able to get off at the Iglesia ni Cristo, which is located directly across from Jollibee. From there, walk down the narrow side street to reach the Redemptorist Church, which is within the walking distance lang.
So, nakapunta ka na ba dito, Miss Kat? Ay, DJ Kat. Sorry. Formalities.
Actually, DJ Reeve, it's my first time hearing about someone from the Catholic Church who is really active nung time nung martial law, kasi usually yung mga nangyayari talaga, it's in Luzon. So, yeah, yung EDSA-Rev. So, yun lang yung usually na alam ng mga tao. Pero meron din pala dito na mga anti-Marcos movement na nangyayari dito sa Cebu. And it's one of the places talaga to visit, lalong-lalo na we are commemorating martial law for this week dahil we are also remembering those victims of martial law.
Kaya nga, it's really unexpected to know that there's actually a place for commemorating the victims of martial law. Lalo na yung Cebu ay hindi, medyo it's not really that experience, like the martial law is not really strong here compared to what happened in Luzon. Kaya whenever I try to ask my families or family members, they say, oh, nindot kayo ang martial law diri sa Cebu, kaya wala. Pero if you look at it from their perspective, it's actually, it's really the facade jud ba nga dili ra jud nato si angay kalimtan ang mga biktima sa martial law ni Marcos. So what do you want to is it possible that you want to try to explore here sometimes if you have free vacant?
Yes, of course, because it's also my first time being in the city, because I was always in the province when in visiting Cebu. And actually I watch documentaries about martial law, and it's really fascinating to also see places na katulad nito, monument na dito nga sa Cebu siya naka-place or nakalagay.
Kasi sometimes it's actually forgotten, the victims of martial law, especially if you're a Cebuano or if you are from Taga Cebu. It's not really that blatant sa ilahang experience, but they usually try to sweep it off under the rug, or ila lang jud kalimtan kay sila kay bawo nga basig naligsan ra, pero actually I can't really imagine what they have gone through during this era. And as Father Rudy Romano, being a priest in a Redemptorist church who is really advocating for Filipinos' rights, and is his movement of anti-dictatorship really brings out or emphasizes the voices of those people, especially mga Cebuanos who are unheard during this. Kaya nga dito siya last, right? Dito siya dapit last nakitaan sa monument, dito nga monument. So therefore, pag last nila nakitaan sa mga localities dito, of course, as a local person nga who's living in that area, kay mag-assume na lang nga diri siya last nakitaan, maybe na D-word na siya or what. So muto nag-make sila monument in Anagora ang nahitabo. So unsa man imong ika-advice, what would you advise to our listeners in going to the monument of Katipunan Street?
For me, another way of remembering din kasi Father Romano is through siguro lighting a candle when you pass by the monument, because it's a common tradition then in Filipinos to light a candle when remembering someone. And I just want to also highlight na there are a lot of unsung heroes pala during this time, na hindi lang usually yung highlighted natin ng mga personalities yung may nagawa to change the country or to have democracy again. Ayan, meron din pala sa other places, and dapat binibigyan pa natin siya ng more limelight, especially in the mainstream na mga media, para mas makilala pa natin sila, and syempre yung mga nagawa nila.
That is very an insightful answer, Miss DJ Kat. So we will be back after this short break.
Once upon a confession.
Wala man jud kay marantan sa akong feelings. Oy, I don't know sad asa mga yung advice. Oble, help me.
Psst, Iska, got something to share? Need personal advice? Don't worry, we got your back. Kay diri sa Dear Oble, you are heard. Pwede ka makasubmit og entry and be one of our chosen anonymous senders. Catch Addie and Daisy, and Ruth and Chiara as we chika mapa-social, love, akads, or life in general while Oble listens.
Oble? Mao ba? Is this really true?
Oh yeah! Dear Oble, your avenue to be heard, one confession at a time.
And now we're back. So DJ Kat, unsa man ang ato ang feature for today's second feature for today's episode in commemoration of the 1081.
So, DJ Reeve, ang second feature natin is yung Fuente Osmeña Circle. Nakapunta ka na bang Fuente Osmeña Circle, DJ Reeve?
Of course, a lot of times as a laagan person na medyo ko mag-agi dito, especially nga I came from especially nga I live in southern part of Cebu. Pero medyo nato maagian, no? Every time nga naatagi ka ta sa south, maagian dyan nato siya kung magsakay tag jeep or magsakay tag bus. Makitaan dyan nato nga kanang rotunda dira is very significant. One of the most significant places or landmark of Cebu, which makes our city which makes our city, you know, kanang very famous because of it.
Ayan, pero DJ Reeve, alam mo ba na we're gonna look at it on a different limelight today, ang Fuente Osmeña Circle. Because guys, this is not only a site for food stalls or the iconic Christmas tree. Usa sa DI ni siya ka historical site sa Cebu, especially in connection with martial law pala. Despite na grabe yung militarization dito sa Cebu during this era, several protests and demonstrations were held here. So, yung mga protests na nanonote natin is yung nangyari during 1983, specifically on November 27, 28, 29, wherein to 20,000 to 50,000 na mga protesters yung nagtipon-tipon dito, wherein they were asking for resignation kay Marcos Sr., as well as the condemnation of dictatorship, boycott of businesses operated by Marcos cronies, and 1984 snap elections.
So, grabe jud kaayo gatuod jud ko nga gamay ra ang ni protesta gikan sa Cebu, no? Pero imagine 20,000 to 50,000 people ang ningsalmot sa pagtawag sa pag-resign sa ni Marcos Sr. During martial law. So that number really is a large one, you know, nga pwede jud nato ma-bring forward ang movement to end Marcos regime. Kay apil sa mga ningsalmot aning mga protesta is actually one of the demonstrations from numerous Cebu universities. Imagine student leaders or students coming from different universities of Cebu go all together to fight to end the dictatorship of to end the dictatorship of Marcos. So, lahi na jud kaayo nilabay nga panahon, diba? Kay lahi na jud kayo ang atong pagtanaw sa Fuente Circle. Kay knowing this Fuente Circle, no, it is really very iconic. It is iconic jud. Like more siya kanang kumpara sa kung naa man gani ka adto sa adto ka sa laing district sa province, ang ilang rotunda dito is Karkar City. Like other the roads there would usually lead to either pag western south or eastern south, na ang kaning rotonda sa dapit sa Fuente kay actually more pud siya kanang cross. Kay kung padung ka sa north direction, you can actually kanang go to Lahog area, padung na sa mga mountains, padung sa Busay, ari na siya gion. If adi ka sa right ba na? Left side, ato ka sa left side kay dira nimo makita ang kanang dira nimo agian ang Pabanawa, Virama, and then ari ka sa right side diri nimo agion ang Samango, sa Ramos dapit. Grabe jud kay ang syudad, very likot, very the downtown street of Cebu is really very very beautiful, as well as its uptown. Of course, we should not forget ang unsa pod kanindot ang padung sa south, diba? So kani siya, especially kada sinulog January, kay grabe siya ma-block jud ang road sa Cebu, diba? Kay I mean ma-block jud ang road sa kanang Fuente Osmeña, kay dira magud sila magprosesyon. Not only that, dira sila mag-parade sa una, ang kuan pa lang, street party. Sus, kamingaw sa sinulog bay. Gamay na lang jud ko ang sinulog again. So, unsa man ang imuhang expect sa Fuente Osmeña? Have you been there, DJ Kat?
Actually, I live near there. DJ Reeve.
Ay,
So, I jog every day in Fuente Osmeña. Not
Sana all
every day.
jog. She a jogger, whatever.
Pero I didn't expect the historical context behind it. Na it holds talaga a heavy kind of a heavy reason kung bakit siya nakatayo doon or kung bakit like marami pa rin protesters nowadays na nag-held sila ng different protests na dun sa Fuente Circle na yun. So, nandito na rin pala siya nung time nung martial law. So, I was not really aware of that. Na ngayon, it changed how I view the place. And of course, siguro, when in jogging the next morning, ayun, pwede ako mag-look for siguro mga other descriptions na di ko nakita before, to know pa more historical context about it.
Yeah, especially the demonstrations or the protest that has been shown or during the recent years up until now makikita pa rin, especially during walkout as a UPC University. It is really a tradition nga mo appeal ka sa, not really necessarily mo appeal ka, but kanang you have the courage and you have the will to join and protest and stop and to showcase your movement, amplify the calls of the marginalized sectors or basically amplifying your rights as human and as Filipinos, defending the masses. Kay ang ilang pagsalmot kay adto jud matumong sa Fuente Osmeña dapit kay ang ruta dira kay maglakaw ka from Lahog, from the university, then you joined with other universities, student universities as well, tapos adto mo magkita tanan sa may Robinson's Galleria, and then magtuyok mo sa Rotonda, and then Bogs inana dyan siya ang hitabo. So DJ Kat, where exactly is the Fuente Circle Osmeña?
So for our audiences na hindi pa nakakapunta dito sa location na to, so it is located in the heart of the uptown Cebu City, Osmeña Boulevard, Cebu City. So how to get there, DJ Riv?
So, how to get there? So, of course, kung pure breed ka nga taga Cebu jud, like di jud ka maglisod pangitaon kung asa na, like di jud ka kay dapat it's in the kung ano na sa imuhang kana kasi nalang sa imong ulo kung asa na dapit. Pero for those people nga who are new here or who just recently moved to Cebu, many of Cebu's transportation routes passed by Fuente, either by car, by jeepneys, or by buses. Pero as a modern transporter, kay modern commuter, kay we usually take any of the jeeps or the e-jeeps as follows. You can ride 12L, 14D, that is Ayala, then 17B, Apas Lahog, and Apas Lahog from Carbon Ipa. Tapos other routes also include going to Ramos or Jones, Capitol, pero both of which are within walking distance from the park. Like actually, kung ako lang subayon ang kanang walking distance, actually dili man kayo ang layo ang Fuente Osmeña to the Capitol. The Capitol kay murag duol man jud kay siya, just a few boulevards lang away from each other. Kay dira nimo mailhan ba nga dool na di ko sa Fuente Osmeña, kay dool na ka sa Cebu Dock or dool na ka sa Anitas, or makita nimo ang Robinson's Galleria nga Robinson's Fuente Osmeña nga kanang mall, like doon na jud kay siya walking distance. And to ask DJ Kat, kay since jogger things tig jog man siya dito, kay unsa may makitaan, what do you usually see nga naka-standby, or what do you usually see when you jog in the morning or in the afternoon baron sa Fuente Osmeña?
So on literally my first day here in the city, because I stayed in the province for a few weeks, and then I went back to the city because it's already the start of the school year. So, ayun. Ang sumalubong agad sa akin, alam mo ba, DJ Riv, is a rally. So, it was a rally by UP students, and then it was held on the Fuente Osmeña Circle. So at my first day here in the city, I was able to witness a rally in the Osmeña Circle. So that's one of the most memorable experiences kasi grabing welcome naman yun sa city. Ganon. So yun. And also, it's also informative kasi you get to know kung ano yung pinaglalaban nila. So it's good na it seems na nothing has changed. Na kahit before may pinaglalaban pa rin naman. Especially students here in Cebu, may pinaglalaban pa rin sila. Ayan. So, it's good to know na they are using their voices to amplify their different causes. So, yun.
Very kuan kayo si Miss. Very very speaker vibe. Wow. I'm such a yapper, I'm not a speaker, pero it's okay. Yeah, kanang actually wala po ko ka-try mo join og protest or walkout ever since. Kaya but you know, it's really kanang very chill, like sends shiver down my spine. Inana siya nga vibe every time nga kanang when we see people from different sectors who actually joined the cause to speak what their experiences or to seek justice from the upper class or from the government. It really is very gut-wrenching or it really motivates you nga to actually join their cause kay kinsa raman pod ni ang ato ang ginabuhat para raman pod ni nila. So it's really we should never forget what made these possible, what these existing protests possible, and also the place itself nga despite grabe kay siya naagian, linog sa 2012 ay actually wala ko kay bao if kanang naguba siya actually, pero from katunoong pag Typhoon Odette ang katong Pasko nila nga tree kay na turned out na kuanjud naguba. And karon pod recently nga magtukod og BRT ang BRT dapit nga magsugod sa Asto dapit oy basta magtukod sila BRT. I hope lang kanang ilan na ra ba to giguba ang katong center ba nga naji lights padong sa Fuente. And then karon kay you know tan-aw pa lang nimo sa Fuente kay makuha na lang siya sa we're gonna maguba ang cultural heritage sa Fuente Osmeña because of that current infrastructure nga ilang ginamake. Tapos karon kay wala ang imong makita na lang nga lights kay naa na sa like na mismo sa circle, which is a bit sad, but you know we can't stop them. So let's conclude our features for the day. DJ Kat.
And that's a wrap for today's Thursday Chills episode. We hope you've stumbled upon not only fabulous local places, but also historically embedded finds for your next laags and visit with your friends, family, and loved ones. Especially places in Cebu to commemorate the dark chapter in Philippine history, the martial law.
That is true, DJ Kat. So it was nice to know nga naadman di ay mga places there sa Cebu nga dili ra known for the laag-laags or gala-gala, but it is actually kanang much deeper nga experience o kanang it has meaning to it nga kaning places nga gina-mention namo is actually very integral part sa history sa martial law in Cebu context or in Cebu geography. So sakto gyud ka partner nga I think I would be seeing Katipunan Street and Fuente Circle the ever same way again.
Maulagi bestie, and it's really nice pod no na pinaagi aning mga lugar sa Sugbo. We are able to understand and talk about the relevance of never forgetting what happened during those dark times. The featured places here in this episode reminds us of the injustices people faced before, reminding us na importante gyud ang pag-preserve sa atong democratic principles and human rights.
Sakto, jud ka diha, DJ Kat. I'm really glad that today's features are both so relevant, important, and really well thought of the features of this episode. And speaking of features, make sure to listen to Nakakalocal Crazy Local Finds every week to catch more of our exciting content, adventures, and journeys, all while exploring every nook and cranny of Cebu City.
Very well said ka dyan, bestie. So don't miss out on our next adventure. And remember to stay curious, stay aware, stay local, and stay tuned to more of our segments right here on DYUP Sugbo.
Until next time, this is DJ Reeve.
This is DJ Kath.
Signing off. Stay curious, stay local, and stay tuned to Nakakalocal Crazy Local Finds.
Bye-bye.
Trigger warning. The following reading contains violent content which may be too intense for some listeners. Listener discretion is advised. Nagubdob sa kamatuoran. Remember, reveal, resist. Ato ang pagapaminawon ang mga sugilanon sa mga biktima na miharap sa mga adlaw sa kahadlok ug pangdaog-daog sa martial law. Ang ilang mga kasinatian nagpadayag sa tinuod nga nahitabo ug pinaagi sa paghandom sa ilang mga sakripisyo. Dili lang nato atubangon ang brutal nga mga kamatuoran sa atong kasaysayan, kundili gipamatud-an usab nato ang atong pasalig nga lig-ong mubarog batok sa bisan unsang matang sa pagpanglupig. Karon, paminawon ka nato ang istorya ug kaagi ni Attorney Democrito Barcenas.
A jeep full of military officers arrived at his residence in Karkar City, their presence heavy with menace. They handed him an invitation, one that left no room for refusal. It was the afternoon of September 23rd, 1972, 2 days after Marcos Sr. imposed martial law. At 33 years old, Attorney Democrito Barcenas was detained at Camp Sergio Osmeña, where he experienced psychological torture designed to break the will of all detainees, leaving them with trauma they would carry for life, all within a span of 90 days. Threats from General Luis Amor, Cebu PC Zone Commander, loomed over them, warning that they would soon face subversion charges in a military tribunal or be sent to Corregidor Island for indefinite detention. This psychological abuse caused sleepless nights for Barcenas and the other detainees. The mere thought of being sent to Corregidor Island sent shivers down everyone's spine, knowing their families wouldn't be able to visit them. His pregnant wife, who would commute 80 kilometers back and forth carrying their 1-year-old child, could only spend a mere 5 minutes with him. When his wife gave birth to their second child, Barcenas was permitted to visit her in the hospital, but only under the watchful eyes of 4 fully armed soldiers, as if he were a criminal. On December 23 of 1972, he was released without any formal charges or investigation into his alleged involvement with the progressive movement. The horrors of that cell are etched into Barcenas' soul, a torment that will never fade, and for him and every other victim of martial law, the scars only deepen their resolve. What they endured will never be forgotten, not as a mark of defeat, but as a searing reminder to fight back and stand against the tyranny that tried to break them.
Sa atong paghandom sa martial law, kining mga istorya sa mga biktima ang atong pagabitbiton. nga magpahinumdum kanato sa mga adlaw sa kadulom ug pagpakigbisog. Ang ilang mga istorya nga kaniadto gipahilom karon nagbarog isip usa ka gamhanan nga tawag sa paghinumdum sa nangagi, pagpadayag sa mga tinago nga kamatuoran ug pagsukol sa mga puwersa nga naghulga sa atong kagawasan. Ang ilang mga tingog bisan pa sa pagkahugno magpabilin nga usa ka masilay nga syagit sa paglaom ug kaisog. Ipakita nato ang mga istorya aron mapukaw ang atong pagpanaw sa kagawasan ug mga katungod.
Kay taas ng pader sa aking paligid.
Here we go, there's no stopping now. Can you hear the beat blasted out? Tune in here for a great surprise. Ride the airwaves and come realize.
There's a lot to learn and much to see. Come be updated here in UPC. Turn your radio on and find your way. DYUPC to save the day.
DYUP, Kauban mo. You will never be alone. Bringing you the hottest, latest in the zone. DYUP, Kauban mo. DYUP, Kauban mo. You will never be alone. Bringing you the hottest, latest in the zone. DYUP, Kauban mo.
If the world's heavy, don't give up. Raise your voice, find and do not stop. Yes, we hear you, you are not alone. Radio's not dead, yes, we are on.
DYUP, Kauban mo.
Bisan asa man kamo adto, music o balita nga ba?
Adi akini para sa imo, maski ikaw lang usa.
Daghan o bisag asa.
DYUP di kabyaan, andam kang pagsilbihan.
There's a lot to learn and much to see. Come be updated here in UPC. Turn your radio on, you find your way. DYUPC to save the day.
DYUP, Kauban mo. You will never be alone. Bringing you the hottest, latest in the zone. DYUP, Kauban mo. DYUP, Kauban mo. You will never be alone. Bringing you the hottest, latest in the zone. DYUP, Kauban mo.
Kauban mo.
Kauban mo.
Kauban mo. DYUP, Kauban mo.
UP naming mahal, pamantas ang hirap ng tinig namin. Sana'y inyong dinig.
Bayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang mag-ibig, helas ng sinakalan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyag ka ng magiting, sa mandulupin, di ka pasisigil, sa nagatak tutok sa simoy at sa langit mong pagaw, ay hinatang tula, kawin sa pagkayang minamahal, ang isang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na nag-iindig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan ang may di magtitindig, luman ang araw ng walhati pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo, ang hindi kaya na pagkay mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
This is 98.9 DYUP Sugbo, the official campus radio of the University of the Philippines, Cebu. DYUP Sugbo operates 3 hours and 30 minutes daily and is streamed online on DYUP Sugbo, our official Facebook page, and on DYUP Sugbo, UP Cebu's YouTube channel. Our radio booth is located in the radio room of the College of Communication, Art and the Science Undergraduate Building at the University of the Philippines, Cebu, Burardo Avenue, Lahog, Cebu City. DYUP Sugbo is operated and maintained under the management of Gwyneth Antinga, Station Manager, along with Gabriel Emmanuel Sulamo, Assistant Internal Station Manager, and Rain Isabel Filizarta, Assistant External Station Manager. DYUP Sugbo is technically managed by its technical committee under the supervision of Caleb Josh Berandoy and Yeda Marie Lambujon. The technical heads, DYUP Sugbo's programs are produced and curated by the programming committee under the supervision of Franz Pauline Aberilla and Jarod Owen Eagle, the programming heads. DYUP Sugbo's official Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, YouTube, and Spotify accounts are run by the publicity committee under Steffi Erika Gakit and Stephen Cuevas, the publicity heads. DYUP Sugbo's records and documents are managed by Ritricia Llagas, Secretary. DYUP Sugbo's Executive Committee, Technical Committee, Programming Committee, and Publicity Committee are under the supervision of Sir Maurice Chete Villaester, DYUP's advisor. DYUP Sugbo 98.9 Kauban Nimo is now signing off.